really important. Every time I have to like reset it up because it's like got like a different window like every time. I don't know how the other streamers do it. I'm sure there's a way. Um, Hold on a sec. Give me 1 second while I figure this out. Hold on, I gotta pop it up, and then we're gonna pop out the chat. Okay, we got a popped out chat, and now what I want to do is I want to where is it? Window capture. Yeah. Is that it? I think that's it. Let me make that bigger. I think that looks good. Sure, why not? Let me move it down a little. Testing. Never mind, move it up. Okay, there we go. That ought to do it. That looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and set it up on Discord. I'm going to start the event. Start. I'll also let everybody know that the event is starting. Okay. Start event. I swear I always have problems. I always have problems whenever I start Discord. It's like, bro, it can't hear you for whatever reason. I don't know why. It just do be like that sometimes. Give me a moment. I think what I can do is just preemptively leave the stage, and then disconnect quietly, and then I close out of Discord and start over. That's what I'll do. I'll just do it preemptively because I know it's gonna not work. I swear, this freaking thing. All right, hold on. Open up modern day, listen in, disable, okay, speak on stage, okay. And then I'll stream this. I'm just gonna make sure that people can hear me. Let me just see here. At Daniel. Check my sound. Oh, Langford is there. At Langford. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. All right. Great. Because I always have problems whenever I like start the stream or start an event. It just, for whatever reason, it's just like, I don't know what the hell. Anyway, whatever. It's fine. So we're a little early. I mean, we wait about 5 minutes. I'll get the game going. What was I doing in this game? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was lighting up torches. But I didn't remember where to go. I still don't know where to go. I forgot. It's just been so long since I've played this game. I just completely blanked out. We're going to wait a little bit until we get some contestants wanting to come in and debate. There are red lines on your screen. Oh, yeah. That's the that's just because I'm selecting that window and it's like, what do you want to do with it? Anyway. It's better to watch it on YouTube because then there's a little bit of a delay, I suppose. But yeah. We're going to wait for some contestants. For now, we're just going to slap on some slugs. I don't know where I need to be going. I'm just going to accept my fate of poison. Tusk goes 1v1 me veganism. aren't you? You're in the Discord. You can always join the stage and raise up your hand. Just got to go into the Discord and raise your hand. I got you, homie. So, in other news, today is a non-diet day, which means I eat literal garbage for the day because I am under target weight, and so I just eat total trash. I mean, it's bad. I mean, it's horrendous. I just eat the worst things ever. Like you know that that donut that you see at like a gas station? Yeah, I'm just like staring at that in the morning. I'm like, dude, I really, really want one of those. And you know those cheese roll things that are like on like the wheel, like the spinning wheel thing? Yeah, I get that too. And like a big ass drink too. Right? It's so gross. I eat total garbage when it's my non-diet day. Tuss says, yeah, lol, I'm heading out soon and just thought I'd give you YouTube chat some interaction whilst I have some time. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. Yes, I do, in fact, need the activity as I'm very small right now, right? But hey, you know, I think that I could bolster a larger audience with some time. Yo, I have no idea where this this thing I'm supposed to light is at. I'm literally lost. Ow. Oh boy. Oh boy. That sucked. I knew better. Usually how it goes, or at least from what I've noticed, is that people usually they're usually not prompt about it. They come a little later. Post Warhopper says, I have arrived. Hi, Hopper. How you doing? Thanks for joining the stream. From Tuss, he says, yeah, for sure. We would like to see you grow. You definitely have the potential for it. Regardless the points we disagree on, I definitely respect you. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. You know, I mean, you know, I have a lot of haters, and that's okay. That doesn't bother me so much. You know, I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy to have that. But you know what's great, right? Is I challenge, you know, all sorts of people, right, to come onto the show. And be like, hey, dude, let's have a formal debate. Let's do it, right? I won't even take you out of context. I'll just tell you exactly as it is, right? And yeah, man, 9 out of 10 times they get cold feet. They can't do it, right? We're supposed to expect Neil Touchgrass Tyson, who said he couldn't do last week, but he could do this week. Of course, I've not reminded him or said anything. I'm going to assume that you know, Republicans, they're probably very prompt about things, right? I'm sure they're like, you know, all about that individual responsibility. I wouldn't want to assume that he wouldn't show up. From Tuss Beatbox, for sure. I'm just a heckler, but we have some really good talks for sure as well. I agree, Tuss. You and I disagree about philosophy and stuff. That's what I've noticed. But usually what you do is you shake your head at me. You got to offer something, man. You can't just shake your head at me. You got to give me something to work with. All right. Where is this torch? I don't know where it is. I'm just going to keep on rolling on through. Hopefully I find it. Is it up here? Is it up there? There's no map. There's no map. You just kind of... nope. Nothing up here. Tuss says, yes, disagree I'm assuming you mean philosophically. Agree socially, disagree on certain politics. Okay, that's fair. Can't agree on everything. Oh my goodness. I just want to find the torch. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. I unironically have no idea where it is. Okay, well, I see a treasure way the fuck over there, which means I haven't been there. Could also be up here. Let's check. That's my cat. That's my cat. Pepper, what are you doing? She's literally right here. You can't see her, but she's there. Should I cat cam it? Oh, shit. It's kind of hard. She's like in a really weird, precarious spot. I can't lower it that much. Okay, I'll just... Fuck it. Pepper, you're moving my mouse. I think that's it. I think that's it. Unironically, I think that's it. So I just have to not die. Tuss Beatbox says, first rule of ethics, having cat but no cat cam is immoral. That's probably true. I should get like an individual cat camera. Just like an extra camera specifically for cat. She lays in the spot. She just wants to be pet. She's like, why are you play video game? This doesn't get feeling when you pet it. Pet me. I get feeling when you pet. Why can't... Wait. I thought that's what I'm supposed to... Wait, is that not it? Oh, oops. Oops, that one's already extinguished. All right, hold on. So... She looks so comfy. I don't want to move her. I don't want to move her. Hold on. Let's see what we can do. Hold on. I'll just wiggle. Dude, this whole thing, it's a nightmare. I don't want to touch it. Pepper. All right, hold on. I'm gonna pick her up. She don't like being picked up. I'm sorry. I know. She's like, why the fuck did you pick me up? She's like, I hate being picked up. Do not pick me up. She's like, don't pick me up. Oh, poor thing. She's like, no. All right. I know. I get it. You don't like it. I get it. Okay. All right. I don't think my cat's going to fuck with the mouse, at least for a little bit. She doesn't like being picked up, so she's like, okay, I'll fuck off. Now, where's that spot with the treasure? We need to find it. There's a fire that is, I guess it's oh, Jesus, is there a monster? No. Dude, where is it? I'm looking, man. I really am. Is that it? Is that it? Way the fuck over there? Way the fuck over there. Surprised. We're gonna wait a little bit for more contestants to show up. We'll see what happens. No, that's a bonfire. Is that where I started from? God damn it, bro. I went in a circle. No, that's not where I started from. Tuss says, utilitarian cats rise up. Maximize utility. The utility is petting. What was the philosopher that dealt with just like they're like the father of utilitarianism? They look at like the net good of things. That I don't want. I don't want that to ever happen again. Oh, good. Another one. That's fine. I'm sure I'll live through another one. Yeah, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, I can't be anywhere close to that thing. It's just going to blow shit in my way. Yeah, I can't have that. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm sure that's fine. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's cool. I'm not going to die from that. All right, hold on a sec. Give me 1 second, okay? Let me quickly share this. Hold on. Copy event link. Copy. Let's see here. Politics. Give me a moment. I'm just gonna participate in a little shilling. Warhopper says racing time. Good luck on your race. Warhopper takes his racing very seriously. I have noticed. Tuss Beatbox says, nah, but I do kind of understand your form. You seem to be more of a rule utilitarian kind of. You want the rules to maximize utility, not the individualistic rulings on every scenario. So generally, I apply like from an individualist perspective. I think you can't actually have like a functioning society unless you uphold the rights of the individual. And that is a very utilitarian idea, if that makes any sense. I'm going to open a chat here. Hold on, give me a sec. Wow, there are a lot of people in VCs today. Guess they just must be engaged. All right, let's take a look here. So for anybody that does not know how this works, basically if you want to challenge me in a particular position, I'll hear you out. I will not cut you out. I will not take you out of context. The debate uploads with no edits, just other than like if there's like any like giant pause in between or something. That would be the only instance. Stop fucking dying. Oh my God. Sorry. Where is this fucking torch? Where is it? And from Tuss Beatbox, he says, good luck on the stream, fam. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Good luck with your bus. I do not hear this game at all. Do y'all hear this game? I do not hear this game. Oh, hold on a sec. All right, sorry about that. Back to it. Is there? That's a problem. No. Don't do that. Don't do the thing. Fuck you. Oh, good. I'm sure that's fine. I'm sure I'll live through that. Am I living through that? All right, that's fine, I'm sure. Okay. So what's up, Brad? What's up, Black Goat? What's up, Langford? Having a good day? Y'all ever, anybody want to get into a debate? If not, no big deal. I'll just play a little bit more Dark Souls until somebody wants to jump up. Dude, is that it? Oh, I found it. I fucking found it. Fucking thank you. Thank you. I needed that. Dude, I unironically can't hear this game. Let me, I'm going to turn it up just a little itty bitty. I don't. Do y'all hear anything? I don't hear it. Is it? It shows that it's like. Wait, is it? Let me look. This is freaking me out. Hold on. Okay, yeah, there. There's a little bit of sound. A little bit of sound. Yeah, I couldn't hear it at all. Okay, hey, yeah, looks like we're getting a few more people. That's cool. Good to talk to y'all. My name is 1stAmender. I am a up-and-coming YouTuber. I'm trying to build up my YouTube channel. And one of the things I do is I do a weekly debate stream. And so if anybody, they disagree with a Democrat on, I'm right here. I would call myself pro-LGBTQ. From Black Goat, they said, I can't hear it still. It's possible that I may not be streaming with the sound on here. Let me try this. It should you should barely be able to hear it. Barely, just barely. Okay, the door opened. I don't remember where that door is at, however. So, okay, so from Black Goat, they can hear it. Cool. Cool. Technical difficulties aside, looks like we have Glasscut that wishes to speak. We're going to go ahead and invite Glasscut up.
Hello, does this work?
Yep. How you doing, Glasscut?
Oh, I'm alright. I'm a little tired, but you know, it's under the week. Who isn't tired?
Yeah.
And I think you are good because I just joined in.
So what's up, man? Do you got anything you wanted to debate?
Yes, I have something to talk about with you. And you said you're pro-LGBT, right?
Very. Yes.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this doesn't. I don't know if this connects to the question. It maybe does, but I know this is something I can debate with you about, probably.
Okay.
Because the other thing I probably agree with you on. So the question is inherently, okay, or you know, the point is, do you agree that the furry community is and will be sexualized for the most part? In
the furry community? Yes, I do think it is sexualized for the most part.
Yeah, like for the most part. And
not all the time, but it tends to be.
Time, like 95%.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's 95%. It's probably like a 70-30 kind of thing.
70-30, okay. Still in the agreeable range. But would you also agree that most furries, you know, even those who claim that they or don't sexualize stuff, still deeply, or you know, not deeply, but maybe, you know, subconsciously, you know, sexualize it a little bit, or not even a little bit, even a lot maybe.
Okay. No disagreement. So what's your issue?
Well, I don't know. It's just kind of weird, because it seems like even the furries that
Well,
claim to not.
LGBT doesn't really have anything to do with furries, so are we talking about LGBT or are we talking about furries?
Oh well, that's true. It's just I needed something to talk with you about, and
Okay.
you're right. You're right. Fucking caught me there.
But what so
Brad,
but what
got
concern do you have? I'm lost.
no, 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 no concern, no concern.
Are you
Nothing.
saying that they're too sexual or
Well, who knows? But I wouldn't call it a problem.
okay.
Nah. I was, I was thinking I could maybe grind your gears with that, but I couldn't.
All right, so you don't got nothing for me? Darn. Well, we'll
Nah,
see. I mean, other
not.
people will join in. I'm sure they have something that they want to say. Looks like Brad said, counter question, I see you have an anime profile picture, glass guy.
Well,
Hey,
yes.
yo, bro.
I agree. The anime community as perverted as the furry community.
Pretty cringe. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
What
I
percentage
I
of the
also
anime community do you think that they're in it for the hentai?
oh at least 90%.
I don't know,
And
man.
the other
Seems kind of degenerate, you know?
Oh, no problem with being degenerate, huh? Being being a degen is maybe even a good thing.
Hey, man, being a degenerate, I mean, it would be really boring if everybody was just like normal and like white picket fence. That would be boring. Why would you want that? Who wants
I
that?
don't know if it for normal people it wouldn't be boring. If
Um,
everybody was the same and had the same beliefs, a lot of people would say that would be boring. I would say that would be a perfect world.
did you want ham and cheese sandwich or you just want ham in your sandwich?
I just want bread on my sandwich.
Just bread? Okay. That we can do.
Just
But we only have ham, just so you know. There's only ham.
oh no, not a hamwich. I don't like ham.
So how are you doing, man? How's the other server doing? How are you? Everything okay?
Hmm? YouTube chat. Nah, but I will leave stage now because I couldn't get any points to
Okay, man.
mess with
No
you.
problem. Talk later.
Bye bye. Yeah, see you.
All right. So it looks like that we got another person. Let me just kill this lizard here. Okay. All right. Let me gonna go ahead and invite Vesper on the stage. Come on up, Vesper. You are invited. Vesper, you are currently invited. How you doing, Vesper?
Here we go. Pretty good, pretty good. Doing some chores outside right now. I just had a genuine question: Is are trans? I mean, not trans. Are furries not included in the LGBTQIA plus
So,
acronym?
generally speaking, well, in the acronym, no, they're not in the. Yeah, it's just not there.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
With that being said, right, most furries are LGBT, like they're positive in that aspect. The furry community is seen as like an accepting community, and so that would be including the LGBTQIA people. The next question, I suppose, becomes: are there any furries that are anti-LGBT? Yes, believe it or not, they do exist. There are anti-LGBT furries. Not very
So
popular.
they're kind of like a cousin community or something, huh?
Well, I mean, it's like kind of like a portion of the community that's like they're like largely ostracized. Like, did you know that there exist Nazi furries? Did you
Yeah,
know that? There,
I wouldn't doubt it.
there are real life Nazi fur. Here, I will show you. I will share on screen some pictures so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm not making it up. This is real.
I know. It's just,
There are
this is so.
furries that
It's just
that are
such a.
Nazis. So
It
here
just
here
throws you through a loop.
I'm just gonna hold on. Let me see. Where's my browser? Here, hold on. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna. This shit's wild, bro. This
Like,
shit's wild, bro.
It's not just an aesthetic thing, but it's like legit. They believe that ideology.
Here, hold on. All right. Do you see that?
Yeah. Tearing the furry world apart. I can imagine. That would be controversial.
Bro, imagine being this dude. You are hated by everyone.
Like maybe they want to be hated, right? They want to be.
They're just like,
outcast,
I want to be a cringier form of the Joker.
Yeah. The outlier of every group.
I'm just saying, that's a real dude, just FYI. Anyway, okay, back to my game. I'm sorry.
So I just want to get clarification. Like, are they part of that acronym and that community, or is it separate community?
No. So
ostracized.
LGBTQIA is a lesbian, bi, gay, trans, queer. Intersex. I is asexual. And then the plus.
Yeah,
so that would be anybody that's
the other A is
that's not include LGBTQIA, but they're just the plus is just like everyone else. But I mean,
two A. What's the other A? I forget.
Asexual. Huh? There's
Oh,
another
agender also.
Agender. Yeah. Anyway, you get the point.
Yeah.
They don't. They're largely ostracized. It's not something that's looked at in a positive light.
Maybe they should be included in that acronym.
Agender isn't very common. What, the furries? You think furries should be included? Why?
Yeah. Because it's a gender identity, right?
No.
It's not?
No. Where'd you get that?
I don't know. Two and two together.
You're just like, are you? Would you say that you are you pro or anti-LGBT?
Pro.
Okay, that's cool.
All the way.
Are you a furry?
No.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, you don't have it doesn't sound like you have any issues. But I could be wrong. Do you have any issues or no?
No, I was wondering why they're not included, you know?
Oh,
I thought they were a
well, I don't they're not really a gender. Like it's just like an interest. It's like do you think that like is a car enthusiast a gender? See what I mean?
No, but it's a certain identity they have about themselves, right?
I mean, I'm sure a car enthusiast would attribute an identity to themselves on the basis that they really, really like their car.
I mean, it's an innate characteristic.
To really, 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 really like cars?
No, to be furry.
You think it's innate?
Could be. I don't know. I'm just interested.
Bro, I don't know about you, man. I blame Disney. And Warner Brothers. They're all responsible. There's so many furries. You can't tell me. Warhopper says there are white supremacist furries, ironically.
So we might have a point of contention here about whether they constitute a gender identity or not. I need to look into that more.
Yeah. I don't think they are. It wouldn't make sense. That would mean like anybody who has any interest with anything at all would be a would be that gender. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's not. It's interesting. I'm just seeing why.
Looks like
It
we
says it's
got
more
a
accurately. It says it's more accurately described as a hobby, interest, or subculture rather than a gender identity. Huh.
yeah. That would
Very
that
interesting.
would be more accurate for sure.
Very, very interesting.
So let me ask you this: uh, do furries bother you, or
No, I
well,
just
that's
thought it
good?
would be nice if they were included, if they should be,
Huh, okay,
But
that's
because
very
you understand there's
that's
there's a lot
very
of
accepting of you.
of course.
Most are not accepting of furry, so that's a very hot take that you're presenting. I'm
You know how there's a
serious.
lot of gender identities that are perceived as odd by people. I
Yeah, I
thought
mean,
they
I'm
might
just
be in
generally in
line with
favor of
those.
I think we should look at I don't see that they're like harming anybody. Like that doesn't it just
Like
doesn't
they
seem
make a
like an
joke
issue.
about people identifying as a attack helicopter or something, right?
Yeah, I guess.
And that's like not seen as a legitimate gender identity. But I guess being a furry is not related to that somehow. It's very nuanced argument to be made there, I guess.
Damn, I died. All right. Well, do you have anything else, or that's about it? I'll go ahead and.
No, that's it.
Well, it was good talking to you, Vesper. Thank you for joining the stream.
No problem.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and invite Glasscut.
Yeah, guess who's back?
How you doing, Glasscut?
Still good. Um, so LGBTQ. What do you say about? Okay, so topic at hand is the LGBTQ people are actively pushing on ads or campaigns to make sure people notice them. Pride parades, whatever. Pride Month, whole thing.
Okay.
Do you think this is a good thing, or do you think this is a bad thing? And if so,
Mm,
explain.
I think it's a good thing.
Hmm.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, I have to weigh. There's like some things to point out. Like number one, there's a lot of people that they just don't like it, and it's fair to say that like maybe there's some negative there, but I think like if you basically like curtail, I guess, society to basically to like make it in such a way where it's like it basically keeps people from being able to talk about it. I think it actually makes things worse than better. So, I'm okay with it just being everywhere. Yeah, I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me at all.
Hmm. But you understand the people that say it bothers them, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of religious people.
And non-religious people, but yes, just
Would
people that,
Are you bothered by it?
personally, yes,
Are you
I'm bothered.
religious?
Well, yes, I am.
Okay. Would you say that the reason why you're bothered with it is because you're religious?
Nope.
Why are
You
you
know,
bothered by it?
why am I bothered by it? Because
Yeah.
I don't think it's important to share some things about your private life.
Do you think that like the
I think it's oversharing. Essentially, just let's say it's oversharing. And
okay,
I,
like being
I
gay is not for sharing?
no, no,
So
no,
should like gay
oversharing.
people like hide it? Like they should just be
No,
like,
not
don't,
hide it.
don't say that.
It's just so up in your face, right? Everybody, the whole pride thing. I think pride in general is
Are you okay with like two people
too
kissing
much.
in public?
Yes, of course I am.
Why are you okay with that?
I might be gay. Who knows?
Well, Glasscut, you're okay with two people kissing, but you just got done saying that like it's not. You don't like it in your face, but there's
Oh
an
no.
example of it being in your face, and you're like, oh, I'm perfectly okay with it.
Oh no. It's more like the pride thing. You know, the need to show it to you. You know, it's not in your face if it's subtle, right? You know, two people
How's that?
kissing in
How's that?
public
How's
per
two
se.
people kissing in front of you subtle?
You know, if they're in front of me, I can just look away, right?
Interesting.
If they're in
So
neon
if there's like a
colors, or
pride
you
parade,
know,
do you think you could
they
just
have
like
a
look
rainbow
away,
flag
or?
sorry, what did you say?
So you think if there's like a pride parade, do you think you could just like not be there or look away?
Well, it's harder to look away. A, it's
Why?
bigger. B, it's colorful. C, it's loud. It's a parade. It's meant to be, you know,
Well,
obvious.
what about like if you saw like LGBT clothing in like a store, does that bother you?
What do you define as LGBT clothing?
Like I don't know, like a shirt with like a rainbow on it and says
Depends
"I
on how
stand
big.
with pride." I don't know.
Okay, let's, for example, take shopping bags, right? IKEA shopping bags. For some
Uh-huh.
reason, in June they were fucking rainbow flags, like big ass rainbow flags.
Cool. Sounds great.
Nah,
Do you have a
I
problem with
don't.
that?
It's weird. It's
Why?
just, I don't know. It's just up in my face. I like the blue IKEA pack.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh yeah, maybe it's just my personal preference, but it isn't as bad with, you know, the bags as with the parades, or you know, the whole ad thing, or you know, some people dressing up like in literal just the rainbow colors and neon colors, and, you know, being gay and, you know, shoving it on your face. I don't like that. I think that's a problem.
Um, but you don't have a problem with like two people kissing, even though it's right in front of you.
Well, no, because they're. So, as I said, it depends.
Also, what if there's like a
Technically, no problem.
T-shirt
Yeah,
with like two people kissing or holding hands? Like I don't know, maybe it's like a silhouette of like a man and a woman like holding hands. Do you not like that?
imagine it like clickbait, right? Like on YouTube thumbnails. It's like clickbait, right? If it's just two men holding hands or two women holding hands, I don't care about it, right? But if it's a big ass red arrow pointing at these, you know, like almost provocatory.
Are you talking about
Uh,
my like the thumbnails that I do?
no, I'm not. But I thought this would be a great example to actually, you know, get you to
Why
know
does
what
that
I.
bother you?
Why? Because it's supposed to be in my face. I don't like people trying to shove things into my face.
It doesn't make any sense. There's everything
Like,
is shoved into your face. Literally everything.
oh no.
Like from corporations to like what's the latest iPhone? Like you're getting like commercial after commercial. Do you have
I haven't
YouTube
seen.
Premium? Like you're probably
I
getting
don't have
ads on
like
your
an
phone?
ad blocker, ad blocker, ad blocker.
On the phone?
Uh, I don't
You don't
use
have an
YouTube.
ad blocker on your phone.
I don't use YouTube
Google
on my
bans
phone.
that. You don't use YouTube?
On my phone.
Well, you're about to be on YouTube, bro.
Oh yes, I know. I don't use it on my phone. I use it on my PC, of course. But it's just shitty on my phone because why should I watch YouTube on my phone when I'm at home? I could just bring out my laptop or, you know, go to my PC or turn on the TV, right? You know, I'd only use it outside, and that would take up too much mobile data and, you know, small screen.
I get you.
Hella inconvenient.
I get
The
you.
most bad.
I don't know. I feel like you seem to not have a problem with straight, like in the public, but you seem to have a problem with if it's gay. I guess that's kind of
Okay.
what my concern is.
No. Have you ever seen something being labeled as, you know, sexually straight or something like that, and
Yes.
just being labeled as straight and being
Yes.
shoved in your face? For example.
Huh?
For example.
Literally everything? How many movies have you seen where a man and a woman get together and kiss?
Because that's part of the movie. If it's in a movie, I don't care about
Yeah,
it.
so wait. So would it make a difference if it was a man and a man to you? Or would it be more offensive?
Okay,
Yeah.
now that's an interesting question. If it's in a movie. It depends.
Well, it's in all of society. I mean, cis culture is everywhere, right? Mind you, I don't really have a problem with cis culture being everywhere, but I'm like saying, hey, I don't have a problem with gay culture being everywhere either. Does that make sense? Like, just you do you. Like, just do you. That's it. That's all I'm thinking about.
That's true. I still feel like people are doing this for, attention or, for the reason of shoving it into
You
my
think
face.
being gay is like done for attention?
Yes, sometimes.
Really? I don't find that to be the case at all.
Wow. Damn. Interesting.
I mean, considering like, I feel like we've regressed a lot. Like in 2012, I think like being gay was like more accepted than it is now. I think that's true.
Yes, because maybe people try to...
Well, there's been like a lot of right-wing populism that has been spreading, and I think it's largely anti-gay, and so as a result, people tend to be more aggressive towards gay people.
That is true. Well,
I don't
the
like that.
populists have a great base, though. They have a big parade going around town that is screaming, "I am gay," and they don't like that for some reason.
Yeah,
So
because
they
they're
can blame everything on them. If the gays wouldn't do that, wouldn't it make it, harder for them to be attacked?
no, disagree. I think
Why?
by putting yourself in the shadow, this is no different from
Doesn't mean
like a Muslim saying that like a woman needs to needs to cover herself to avert the man's gaze. This is
well,
also no different from like from a rape victim being asked what they're wearing. It's literally the same logic.
oh no 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 wait. By me saying this stuff not being as obvious doesn't mean that they have to hide it. It just doesn't have to be that obvious.
Well, why? Straight is very obvious that it's straight, and it's also in your face everywhere. So what's the problem?
I don't think being straight is obvious.
It
Why
is.
would being
It's
straight be
everywhere.
obvious? Well, it is everywhere,
And it
essentially.
turns out that there's a reason why, right? Because most people are cisgendered.
Well, yes, but just because they are cisgender doesn't mean that you know.
Huh?
How can you tell
I'm
if
saying
someone...
that there's like active PDA, but I don't have any issue with PDA but for whatever reason, when it comes to you, when it comes to gay relationships, all of a sudden you have an issue.
Wait, what do you mean by PDA?
So what public displays of affection?
Oh, but they also could be bisexual.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Does it mean just because it's a man and a woman kissing, they're straight? One of them also could be transsexual.
Sure.
Well, yes.
And I'm perfectly
And
okay
in fact,
with
it would
well, but
kind
I'm perfectly okay with that sort of thing. That doesn't bother me at all.
yeah, me too.
But you just said that it does bother you because it's being pushed in your face.
No, because it wouldn't be obvious. Because I wouldn't notice it. You get what I mean?
So basically, if it visually looks straight to you, it's cool.
No. If it just doesn't look too obvious. As I said, if a man and another man are kissing, I don't care. If they are coated in rainbow color and sparkling throughout 100 meters, hundreds of hundreds of meters, if you can see them half across the street, then it's annoying. Then I don't like it. It's the same.
What if there was a wedding in public, in a public park, and it's a man and a woman. They're kissing.
Yeah,
You cool?
of course.
What if there is now that wedding is a gay wedding? There's rainbow flags all over the place, and it's two men kissing now.
Well, then it's not cool. But if there were no rainbow flags,
Bro.
then it'd be cool.
So wait, then hold on. Is your okay? What if I remove the rainbow flags and it's just a wedding and it's two men kissing?
Yeah, of course, then it's cool. But it's not it's not only the rainbow
I don't
flag.
think you have a problem with gay people. I just think you don't like gaudy things.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't like things that get in my face.
You just don't like gaudy things.
Well, what does gaudy mean?
It's just like, what's a good here? I'm gonna just Google it.
Thank you.
It's just extravagantly bright or showy, typically so as to be tasteless.
Exactly, you get what I mean.
All right.
Finally. Yeah. Why don't you think that's a problem?
Huh? I think it's a free country. I think people should be able to wear as they see fit. I don't care if it's gaudy or not. I don't see that they're harming anybody. That doesn't bother me even in the slightest.
Okay, so
It's not even in my purview of something to get upset about. There's so many things to be getting upset about. That's like a total non-issue.
well, it's not me getting upset about it. It's just slightly annoying. Oh, not
Okay.
slightly. It's annoying.
Okay.
I would never rage at somebody for this. That would be stupid. But I'm always questioning myself why.
You just don't like gaudy things. There's lots of people who are straight that wear super gaudy stuff. You should have seen my Spanish teacher, bro. I got a story to tell you, okay? I had a Spanish teacher, right? She was like in her 50s. She wasn't that great looking, okay? She kind of looked kind of weird, but she wore the gaudiest shit ever, bro. And I remember, like, she would wear like a sunflower in her it's like an orange flower she would wear. It was like made of plastic in her hair, right? And she would wear like just this garish like orange pants and outfit, and it just and she had like crazy multicolored like plastic bracelets, like, and they were big. They were like big fucking bracelets. She would have like 4 or 5 of these fucking things on each of her arms. She'd be walking around. You can hear her just fucking walking. She wore gaudy clothes, right? Anyway, one day she goes to like lean over. She's like right here, man. She's like right up on my fucking grill. And I can see her fucking thong, this bright orange fucking thong.
Okay.
This 50-year-old, like, it wasn't a good looking, like, it wasn't a good sight. I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to.
I had a similar moment to you. It wasn't as bad though.
Maybe she was a member of the LGBT community and didn't want to publicly acknowledge it, and was repressed her whole life, and sought to express herself in a
How did you get back in here?
way.
How did you get invited?
Did
Did you invite yourself? How did you do that?
I was never removed. I was never moved down.
Oh, okay. Hey, no problem.
I just wanted to try to help out.
Are you are you anti-LGBT?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Do you like gaudy things?
I just wanted to get specific about what it is he doesn't like. Is it public displays of self-expression which are bright and
No,
colorful?
he just doesn't like gaudy things.
Or what?
Yeah.
He just doesn't like things that are gaudy.
That's what you're.
We figured it out.
That's like
What is wrong about not liking aesthetically unpleasing things?
I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Agreed.
That's true, but it's called gaudy for.
I mean, public displays of art are everywhere. You have a problem with that?
Oh yes, but if it's unaesthetic, there's a there's a lot of people who say modern art is shit. I have never seen somebody actually coming to me and telling me that this modern art is extravagant or beautiful. I've seen people who were like, it's okay, because they actually valued the time that went into making the art, or maybe like the colors of it, right? But I've never
Like,
seen
are
some.
things gray and drab where you come from, and so any kind of bright, colorful stuff is seen as putting something in your face, so to speak?
Well, no, it's not very gray
It's sort of
here.
awkward. Makes you feel
It's
awkward.
very green and blue.
Rook Spinnerd says, is it just colors? What about goth subculture? Lots of folks get real uncomfortable about people dressed all in black. Can I just say, fucking goth girls are so hot. They are so good looking. God damn it, dude. I'm fucking 34. I'm too old to be I wish more women wouldn't grow out of it. And you know what I mean? I would love to see a 30-year-old goth girl, man. That would be amazing. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Go to metal concerts, you will find.
There you go. There you go. That's the move.
But ha, it's how you pull it off. Again, if it's too flashy, if it's too much goth, if it's aesthetically unpleasing, I don't like it. I've funny thing, my best friend group, or my main friend group, all of them are goths, emos, or punks, whatever. One of them is literally a dude who walks around with as a white dude walks around with rasta, colored hair, rings, like a big trench coat made out of leather, has piercings everywhere, and tattoos.
You lost me on trench coat, bro.
What is it? What is aesthetically pleasing to you necessarily?
If it fits. It's hard to describe if something fits, but
something that doesn't stand out, isn't juxtaposed to its background or something. Is that what you mean?
No, things can be opposing their background. There's black people who really look good. Okay, no, that would be racist to say. Don't everything. But
I'm waiting. I'm hoping. It ain't worth it, bro.
It ain't worth it. No.
They stand out in a background of white people. It's funny.
No, for example, a white guy.
But it's not bad.
That was raised in Africa, right? That would stand out, right? But just because he's standing out doesn't mean he doesn't fit. Eminem is a great example. Eminem was a white rapper among nearly only black rappers, but everybody agrees he's good. He fits in perfectly. He's a real G, right?
Right.
So it doesn't mean just because something isn't natural or opposes things doesn't mean that it's just because it's unfitting doesn't mean it's bad. But if it's unauthentic, right, then it's bad. And I think a lot of these things just seem unauthentic. Even godly things can be authentic, right? Your Spanish teacher was probably hella authentic. Nah, hella no. Was she authentic? I don't know. She was authentic, just the person she was.
Okay.
I don't think.
Well, what do you mean by that? Inauthentic, in terms of aesthetics. Like, it's not really who they are.
Not necessarily.
Internally.
I think. Well, yes, maybe. Maybe it's not really who they are.
What if it is? What if it is really how they feel inside, right? And they're trying to express that in a bright, colorful way. Then would it be good?
Well, and would it be good? But I think I could. This is a bold claim, but I think then I would notice it.
You would notice the authenticity of it somehow.
Yeah, you notice authenticity, right? Somehow. It's weird.
I mean, are they supposed to not be?
Somebody is talking
are they supposed to not be happy and
Rook
bright
Spinnerd
and stuff?
said
Are they supposed to be like?
Everybody should go about naked.
Well, no, there's laws about that, but you know, for me it would be cool. I'd be chill with that.
Is the LGBTQ community supposed to be like depressed and not colorful?
No, they
like,
all have to shop at Abercrombie and Fitch, according to Glasgow. No more rainbows. Only Abercrombie and Fitch. They have to look like that. They're like some Californians that have loafers, just in tan colored loafers.
I'm just trying to get clarity, like
Specifically
what it is
tan colored
specifically
loafers.
that-
Got to have the tan colored loafers. Blue shirt, navy, Old Navy. We like Old Navy. No rainbows. Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to drill down to what it is specifically he has a contention with.
It doesn't like
seems to be-
gaudiness.
has something to do with.
That's all it
I don't
is. It's
like-
just
Well, you
don't
mentioned-
they think it's gaudy.
Guardian or in it.
Well, he mentioned authenticity. That was a big point. All right.
Well, you think that like a big bright rainbow could be authentic?
It could be authentic if it fits the person. But I don't think this fits.
Bro, I've
a
seen
lot.
some gay people and I'm like, this fits you perfectly.
Oh yes, I've seen that too. You know, as a matter of fact,
I was just like,
used
yeah,
to
that makes
hang out-
sense.
I used to hang out with nearly only gay or transgender people for like 5 years on a daily basis.
And they are authentically.
And you were just
gay and
tearing your eyes
transgender,
out
right?
about how much they were wearing rainbow.
No. Funny story. I fell in love with one of them, and then it didn't work out, so I had to leave.
The whole
They are
group?
authentically gay and trans, though, right?
The whole group?
Like
No, not the whole group. one
they're not
specific
pretending to
person.
be gay and trans. They authentically are.
Yeah, they
Right,
are
Glass?
that. They represent that,
Okay.
and I think that's good. I think essentially it's
Okay.
good that the LGBTQ movement exists. I think it's good that
Okay.
you should represent yourself on how you actually are.
Okay.
And even
Uh-huh.
a little pride is good there. But I don't think that this is the case with a lot of people.
You think they're just pretending in order to be like popular or something? Going to like a popular trend.
Since
That
when is it popular to be trans? Can someone please just get that out of... Can we just get that out of our head? It is not popular to be trans. It's literally the exact opposite.
I hear this
Well,
a lot though.
okay, it's
people are
also
just
not
pretending to be part of LGBT in order to be popular.
How
It's part of a movement.
How?
Commander.
I see. By the way, I see your invite, David. I will absolutely invite you after this conversation's over. How are you popular by being trans? You're one of the most hated people. There are people that will sit there and call you a pedophile for being trans.
It's the hot topic. though,
By the
right?
way, and
Instead
high
of being
schoolers don't think it's cool either. They make fun of the trans people. So where are you getting that it's like oh, it's fun being trans? It's not.
First of all, I said this could be the case, right? Second of all, when this would be the case, you remember emos. Emos were never cool. Gamers were never cool.
To other emos, they were cool.
Yeah, to other emos they were cool. Maybe that's the same case.
And
with
and,
trans
and the
men.
emos and the gamers usually got along pretty well. I've noticed.
That's true, but or furries. Let's take the furry example.
Bro, no one thinks furries are cool.
Not even furries.
The
But
only
for
people that
example-
think furries are cool are other furries.
Yeah, exactly. And
I don't know about that.
maybe people.
Wait, hold on. Are you not a furry, Vesper?
No, I'm not a furry.
Okay, all right. You think furries are cool?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Say it with your chest.
It could
come
be.
Come on. You know they're not cool. You know it. You already know it. Okay.
Don't gaslight.
They could be. I don't know.
What do you mean it could be?
I'm not personally into it, but it's whatever. I'm sort of indifferent about it.
Listen, I don't have anything
think- I don't
against.
think
I don't
it's- I
have
don't think
anything against furries at all. Okay.
I don't think it's uncool.
I'm just saying. Like I would not sit there and pretend like they're cool. They're not cool. I've not met a single person that is like, whoa, furries, they're pretty cool. Unless, of course, you're a furry yourself.
Well, then, Amanda, you kind of, now imagine. There's somebody who doesn't know what they want to be, right? And they
Okay.
see this furry group, and maybe they don't find it as cringy or not half as bad, and they
Yeah.
think to themselves, "Why? Maybe if I join, I'll also be a furry and will be accepted there, right?" You
I
know?
think their like sort of honest self-expression is cool. I could say that.
Yeah, exactly. And
It's
maybe this is the
admirable.
same case with
All right.
transgender people, right?
Well, I'm gonna let you. All right, Glasscut. I'm gonna let you have the last word, and then I'm gonna dismiss everybody because it looks like we got some other people that want to speak. So go ahead. I'll let you have your last word. Go ahead.
Well, I don't have any last words. This has been a very open conversation, very interesting.
All
I'm
right,
All
man.
right,
still not
thank you,
joined
Glass
I'm still
and
annoyed
Amender.
by overly expressive gay people.
Sounds good, man. We'll talk later.
Sounds good. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Oh, this is
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in Concept David. Keep those hands up because I'll know to invite you next. So just keep them up. Stay in the audience, and I'll go ahead and invite you. David,
Hey, what's going on?
how you doing, homie?
Very good.
Bro, it's been
Very
forever.
good.
How's your day
I'm
going?
neglecting packing right now. Well, I'm trying
Packing?
to
What are you
pack for
packing?
vacation, but I got distracted.
Okay. So, welcome to my show. Is there anything that you want to debate about?
Not really. I just had a comment from your last conversation.
Okay. What you got?
Well, no, I was just thinking, you know, as far as the not being cool thing, I think there is some community offered. I mean, as far as like the non-binary community, in that like, okay, so say you to some degree don't conform to gender roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you're just somewhat on that scale, and that means that like people bully you or don't accept you, right? I do think there is a degree to which moving further along the scale to gain acceptance into the community as a whole could definitely be a pressure, like as far as the desire to be on a team, you know. So that was just an outstanding thought I had when I was listening to what you're talking about a
So
minute
you
ago.
you
I
think
don't think
that
the okay.
so you think that people will pick fringe community under the basis that there is a community that they're interested in.
Right.
I mean,
Like
isn't that
maybe
kind of
you're
true for everything?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's kind of like, people might be open somewhat to,
Okay.
say goth apparel, right? But they'll choose to they'll choose to break off from the standard hierarchy in order to have a better chance in like a sub hierarchy. Like,
Yeah, I guess so. Sure. I
because
don't
you're like,
disagree
hey,
with
I'm
that.
not finding any acceptance in this current hierarchy.
Yeah.
So, hey, this other one might accept me. So maybe you don't want to dress, like in completely black makeup and black clothing and everything, but you're like, hey, this is gonna like help me find a form of acceptance.
Mhm.
I'm sure that happens everywhere. That was just the only comment that I had. So,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, you got a good point. I get you. Darn,
I think that
I
happens
wish
with
we
like I think
disagreed
that
on
happens with
more. We
gay
get
and
along. We
trans.
get along too well, right? To be able to have an actual.
Oh no, I've got outstanding thorns in my brain. There is something I want to debate you on, but it's going to take way too
Do
long.
you?
I gotta get back. Yeah. The whole the amoeba thing. We've already covered it. The like source of morality thing.
You're still stuck on that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I just gotta keep covering it until we change it.
The source of Amender's morality.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually wrote about this. Let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on a sec.
While you look that up, I do think that does happen with the gay and trans community a bit. I think there's like certain ways of dressing or behavior sets that people aren't like
Okay.
necessarily don't seem that attracted to, but then like once they're like gaining acceptance in a community, they like will adopt other aspects of it in order to gain further acceptance. Like, like I don't think being gay and like having a lisp are like biologically entangled or something. I think it's like, hey, this is like you know, a marker that I'm a part of this group. So like people pick things up.
Yeah.
But I think that goes. There's probably similar things in the trans community. But sorry, go ahead with your.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna pull up the full screen here. Hold on. All right. Not that one. That's determinism. Yes. Right here. Hey, atheist, where do you get your morality from? Morality comes from a long evolutionary pathway of survival. The desire of survival is entropic. But what could that possibly mean? These words are not random. Entropy is a strictly mechanistic function of the universe. All matter results in one form of energy or of entropy or another, which includes all living organisms. Entropy, to place it in understandable terms, is where things go from a finite higher energy state into a lower energy state of less interaction and into chaos. Think about a hot cup of coffee. Should the hot cup of coffee be in the middle of a room, eventually the cup of coffee must exude its energy out from the coffee and out into the room, and the result is the coffee now matches the temperature of the room, and the room becomes slightly hotter. The energy is now spread out and it can no longer interact. All organisms operate with this universal principle. Think if I took a single-celled eukaryote, which it possesses a cell wall, nucleus, mitochondria, and cilia, little hairs that provide locomotion, and put a hot poker beside it. The hot poker exudes out energy from the hot poker through entropy. The energy touches the cell wall of the eukaryote and mechanistically begins binding chemicals of the cell walls, cascading into a series of proteins that excites the motors of the cilia that cause the eukaryote to swim away. The eukaryote, as a result, never thought about survival. It has no brain to perceive a desire of survival. It never felt that it would die and that it should run away. It simply runs entirely out of mechanistic notions. I do not believe humans are much different, though our form of survival is more complex due to the fact that we are a social species. However, this would just be thinking of us like the eukaryote, but with extra steps. We propagate survival by being a social species. This means we mechanistically attempt to work together and mechanistically desire survival. Indeed, even a suicidal person flinches when you swing your fist at them. Survival is entropic. It must happen independent of our desire for it to happen. Our understanding of morality, while subjective, is predicated on a desire of survival, which is chemically determined. Therefore, we create our moral understanding off of survival, and that which does not propagate survival serves to destroy is quote-unquote wrong entirely off of mechanistic means there. So that's my entire basis of where my morals come from. And so you seem to have a problem with the cell thing. So go ahead.
Well, I think in previous conversations, I felt like there wasn't a lot of room for judgment, like say in regard for the eukaryote, right? Now, the way that you just described it sounded closer to my model than I thought originally, but I don't know if your views have changed at all. But I know the mechanistic stuff was there before, but like as far as labeling, say, the reaction of the amoeba or whatever as good or bad, I felt like there was resistance to label the behavior as good or bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we perceive it as the survival being good because that's what we desire. But it's kind of like if you look at like, I don't know, like a black hole consuming an entire sun. Like the amount of energy that's outputted from that sun is far greater than even all of humanity will ever be able to output. Yet this black hole is just consuming it all and it turns into nothing. Is it like bad? probably not. It's probably doesn't really care. And that's kind of like the way that I see it is like we have that energy and it moves in a specific way, but we just perceive it as good or bad based off of like a series of chemicals in our ape brain that tends to anthropomorphize everything.
Yeah, I think in previous conversations, I felt like there was a hesitancy to apply the label. But I think the way I approach it is like, let's say we agree survival's good, which for me, the primary subjective step would be whether we agree if that's a good thing or not. Well, for me, I would probably spend a little bit of time advocating for like, with humans, it seems like survival and fulfillment are like equally valuable. Like you don't want all of one of those two things. But if we agreed that those things were valuable, then it becomes like, say, in the case of me or in the case of amoeba, an amoeba. It's like, did the behavior contribute to the survival? We'll just say survival, though. For me, it'd be survival and fulfillment. Did it contribute to the survival or not? And then, like the relationship that behavior had with the survival of that entity is how I'm labeling them as good or bad. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of that so far?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds roughly to what I mean, there's not really a whole lot to change in terms of like my moral system.
Well, I think my
It seems to be
outstanding
roughly
frustration.
compatible.
I think my outstanding frustration before was that like you're saying that like the amoeba moving away from the poker just is, you know, and
Well, it
it's not
is.
like a good or bad thing.
It is.
But
It's mechanistic in that aspect.
yeah,
I don't think it's good or bad in the same way that I look at a sun being consumed by a black hole, you know, to be good or bad. It just is. It's happening.
but me, you, and the amoeba want survival though, so I think there's some context in which moving away from the poker is good.
Yes, because of evolution.
And there's
It's,
some cases
but that's again
in
like
which
entirely designed through a mechanistic notion. That desire.
I don't have a
is
problem. I don't have
mechanistic.
a problem with. I don't have a problem with it being mechanistic, like that we arrived at the idea that, say, subjectively
I'm
that
guessing like
survival's good. But once we've made the decision, that once we've contextualized the conversation, that survival's good and it's the North Star of
well,
our
we're
value
attributing.
hierarchy, then the behaviors do gain this good or bad property.
I guess like I'm
relative
thinking
to
about
that
like how
goal.
you can just like we tend to like I don't know, place value on things on basis of things that we care about. And I mean, if we pull ourselves out, right? I mean, just thinking about how much energy that a black hole is consuming, right? It could, you might be able to argue if you like look at it in terms of like energy output, right? It would probably be the most wrong thing ever. It would be even worse than Hitler, you know, having killed all those Jews. Like, think about that. I mean, I know it's a weird thing to think about. Like, let's say if you look at it in terms of like output of energy, for example, black hole is consuming all of this energy. Is that the ultimate bad? Why would we care about things in terms of energy as opposed to like not energy or like some sort of compassion towards people? The reason why is because we're human. We're social species, and so we tend to care about things regarding social endeavors and not just on the basis of pure energy.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like I'm not labeling good or bad to it without attribute or without relating it to how I think it relates to my survival. So like a black hole, if it's billions of or trillions of miles away and I'm certain it's like not going to affect my life, I don't well, that's not as bad as me getting in a car crash, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. No, that makes sense. We are a social species after all.
Damn it. Well, now we are agreeing, kind of.
We
Well,
agreed
you
this
know
whole
what?
time. We never disagreed, really, if you think about it.
Well, you just refused to persecute that amoeba earlier, like 2 years ago.
What do
You're
you
defending
mean?
this dumb little amoeba.
It's
and
the
dumb
same
little
thing.
moving away from the poker. Well, no, because the
It's
amoeba
literally the
might move
same.
away from the poker and into the what would you call like one of those little tentacles? Another
Cilia,
eukaryote might have.
flagella.
Yeah, they might move into the flagella of something that eats them, where it might have just been singed if it didn't move away, and therefore
Well, the
it's
flagella is
moving
not going to hurt
away.
you. However,
Well, it will if they
maybe
use
the
it to eat you.
maybe the pincers on the other side. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it moves in, gets captured and eaten because it moved away from something hot. It's like in that case, it wasn't good because it led to the lack of its survival.
Did I die? No, I'm not dead. I'm somehow not dead. Okay, I'm dead. Well, it was good talking to you, man.
All right, yeah. I do have to pack though, so I'll
All right.
jump, but I'll find a different way to argue with you.
Sure thing,
You're
buddy.
stubborn bastards sometimes, you know that?
I know. I'm aware.
So I'm gonna have to actually set aside time
All right, dude. I'll talk to you
and
later.
energy. All right, peace.
All right. Well, we don't have a whole lot of people in the audience, but that's fine, right? If you want to raise your hand and join in the debate, if you disagree with me for a particular reason, Glasscut again. All right, Glasscut, come on up. You're gonna get a bunch of videos, Glasscut.
I'm getting. Oh no! Don't. No, don't, please.
Why?
You can upload this in the stream, right? But don't make videos about me because I'm retarded, and I know that. Um.
It's crazy, man. There's so many people, man. They're talking that good big shit, man. And then as soon as I start the stream, man, nowhere to be found. They're just like,
No,
I'll debate you. Fuck you, Mender.
fuck you.
Turn on the
Yeah.
stream. They're just like, nope, only people who agree. It's like,
Oh,
what happened?
All the schizo
What happened?
people. Yeah.
The schizoids, they get cold feet as soon as that they see that they're going to be recorded. That's the problem.
It's like with the police. Maybe they're actually all the police. Maybe they're not.
So
Maybe
what you
maybe
got for
they're
me,
the
buddy?
government agents. No,
What you got?
well, you know, when we ended the last conversation, your initial point was, well, they're allowed to. That's why they can do it, right? And that's why I don't have anything against it. But isn't this a boring take?
Hmm?
Isn't this like very
No, I
obedient?
think it's the reasonable take. I think it's the
that's
position in
boring.
order to hold morally consistent and morally correct. I think that's the move.
Okay. But why? Why don't you just
Hmm?
argue like
Ooh,
I don't
good
like
question.
it. That's bad.
The reason why is because I think that every single human being possesses their own set of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and those hierarchy of needs don't actually get met with thoughts and feelings. The way that Maslow's hierarchy of needs actually does get met is entirely through having the supply chains necessary to fulfill those needs. So food, water, so a society that can fulfill the lowest levels and higher of hierarchy of needs with ease, the better off the society. People can fulfill their desires to a greater degree. There's less suffering. They just live more satisfying lives as a result. I tend to look at things in terms of satisfaction as being the most important thing. And so the way that is done is that there needs to be an adequate amount of trade. And sometimes within that trade, there exist arbitrary bullshit barriers. And if there exist these arbitrary bullshit barriers that ought not be there, they're just there because of some bullshit cultural reason, I want those torn down. And so an ostracization of groups of people that other people find uncomfortable would absolutely be an example of a barrier I would want torn down, because it makes people's lives worse to maintain that barrier. There. That's why.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I didn't say you should create a barrier. I was just trying to understand why so many people are doing this and why it's annoying me that much. But you know, I have a counterpoint actually. Doesn't having no barrier also affect not me, but other people who feel uncomfortable by that and you know need or have the need
It's just some
to
cultural
not
bullshit. Grow out of it. I'm sure we were pretty uncomfortable as a society watching that one Star Trek episode in the 60s where Uhura kisses Captain Kirk. You know, a black woman kissing a white man. I'm sure there were lots of people that were very uncomfortable with that. That had to have been some dicey stuff.
Okay. Well,
right? It's just some bullshit cultural barrier that doesn't really do anything.
it is bullshit cultural barrier, but you know, this bullshit cultural barrier is something created out of nothing, right? And you know, feelings don't need to be reasonable. As you said, everybody has a. What did you say again exactly? I don't remember, but you know what I mean.
Maslow's
You said
hierarchy of
everybody.
needs.
Yes, exactly. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What if this Maslow's hierarchy of needs is like they need something like a bullshit society rule that you know brings other people down?
I don't like the idea of destroying other people's like liberties just because like one person don't feel comfortable about it. Seems kind of weird.
That's true, but you know,
Why would I want that?
maybe
That
it's
sounds like a terrible society you live in.
maybe it's more than just one person.
Well, no, it's every individual. Every individual.
Oh yes.
I mean, you're just talking about the paradox of tolerance, right? Where it's like, if you live in a tolerant society, it allows the intolerant to basically say whatever they want. And so in turn, what ends up winning is the intolerant society. And so the only way that you can actually stop that is to not tolerate the intolerant ones.
Exactly. So
Post
we have a
Warhopper
paradox
says
here.
them kissing in Star Trek was actually historic. Star Trek was the first TV show back then to star colored people in important roles. That's correct.
Wow.
They wanted to portray what a Star Trek world would look like. And so they're like, it would eschew the prejudices of the past. And they're not wrong. That's not wrong at all. It makes perfect sense.
Very interesting.
Assuming that we don't divulge down into a tribalistic society when we run out of oil. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
That's not the argument to be made. Maybe we find ways to, you know, get back our oil. Well,
Yeah.
we do have ways to get back our oil. It's just very hard.
Anyway,
Oh, but
hey,
yeah,
it looks
have
like
the
we got one of our challengers. We got Neil Touchgrass Tyson. We want to hear Neil Touchgrass Tyson. Go ahead, raise your hand, Neil. How you doing? All right, hold on a second. I'm going to move you to the audience. Good talking to you, Glass Cut. How you doing, Neil? What's going on? It looks like that you are muted, Neil. You will have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. How you doing?
All right. So let's maybe to counter that point, maybe like for that one, maybe they kind of make that claim now. So in the days of Star Trek, there was probably earlier shows that would have those historic moments as well too. That's probably the case, in my bet.
From what I'm aware of, I could have sworn that the first time that there was an interracial kissing on live television was the Uhura Captain Kirk kiss.
Okay, maybe we'd have to double check on that, possibly.
Anyway, what did you want to debate about?
Oh, actually, I don't know that, so I was just listening in. That's the thing.
Well, okay, how about this? I'm not in favor of Donald Trump. You know that.
Okay.
right? Do you think that Donald Trump is a better candidate than Biden?
Maybe in some respects.
Who are you voting for?
I'm probably actually voting for third party right now. I don't know who that is.
You're
Maybe
voting third
RFK, maybe
party?
somebody else. Quite possibly.
You realize who's
Yeah.
going to become president gets to pick 2 Supreme Court justice seats, right?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's all right, so you're just going to vote third party?
Well, yeah, well, I'm going to do my due diligence and then find out.
Okay. What particular candidate were you thinking?
Because RFK seems pretty decent as of right now, but I've been working a ton of jobs this year right now, so I really haven't had the time to go through any of all the third party candidates.
All right. Well, you and I tend to disagree on almost everything. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to debate about?
I don't. You could pick a topic, man, because I can't think of anything offhand.
I'm very pro LGBT. I'm also a pretty hardcore Democrat. If you listen to me talk, I'm absolutely very much a Democrat. I used to be a Republican turned libertarian, and then I realized as a libertarian, as I kept reading, that libertarians have no idea what they're doing in terms of foreign policy, and they don't know anything regarding like actual contract law and how it's actually upheld. And so I became a Democrat. And so now I basically just move in the direction of where I can see that there is evidence. And right now what I'm seeing is Donald Trump appears to be pushing in favor of Project 2025, which is, to me, like me just reading a cursory glance at it, appears to be somewhat close to a theocracy. Not only that, there is also the fact that there are 2 Supreme Court justices that are getting very old and they are likely to retire next term. It's telling me that not only is there a Project 2025 possibility, there's also 2 Supreme Court justice seats. And what I find very alarming about that is that there's already a Republican majority in terms of the Supreme Court justice. Having 2 more means that we would have a Republican majority Supreme Court till 2050. And that scares the shit out of me. I don't want anything to do with that.
Right, though, Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett occasionally vote with the other more liberal Supreme Court justices.
Okay.
On occasion.
All right.
I think you're talking more about, was it Alito and then why am I blanking on the other guy?
We're not going to
You know the
pretend
other
that
person.
there's no bias among
Right.
Supreme Court justices. Of course there would be.
Right, but the Republican ones you're talking about are more like constitutional literalists, so where the other ones, well, the Democrats tend to pick ones that will vote on the issues. They want the outcomes, where the other ones will the Republicans tend to pick ones that will vote on the style of interpretation as in Constitution as it was back then. That's tend to how it goes. So they will occasionally vote for stuff that the Republicans don't expect them to vote that way.
Okay. Well, I mean, that seems like a pretty reasonable position, I suppose.
Yeah.
I just don't. I got to tell you, man. Like, if I had to pick between one and the other, let's say, for example, if there was not Joe Biden, but let's say if there was just a dead dog with like flies buzzing around it. If there was a dead dog with flies buzzing around it on the ticket, and then Donald Trump, who do you think I would vote for?
Well, if Joe Biden was out of there,
Like if Joe Biden wasn't there and I replaced it with a
probably
dead,
vote for the
with
dead dog. I think
That's correct.
Or-
That's correct.
or if it was a thing that just randomly flipped coins to choose a policy, you'd probably vote for that.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I think the probabilistic notion is probably better off than whatever Donald Trump's going to do.
Right, but even though you'd think I was voting for Donald Trump, the my main thing that I talk to my friends and other people is that I hate the duopoly, and I would rather another party get in because we need to break up the duopoly. So I'm gonna
Okay.
vote the way that I'm talking to other people, and I'm gonna vote for a third party.
I get it. I mean, most people aren't in favor of the duopoly. I'm looking at things in terms of like a pragmatic sense. You know, when I used to run libertarian, I kind of thought the same thing as you, where I was just like, you know, I'm voting. I will sacrifice my vote for my principles. And I mean, when I think about it now, I mean, I guess it's like one thing where it's like the stakes are low. It's not really a big deal on who exactly wins, and you know, it's cool to just like sacrifice the principles. But seeing this Project 2025 stuff like mixed in with two more Supreme Court justices, that's got me scared shitless. I don't want anything to do with that.
The Supreme Court justices are just like the goalies or the umpires. Like they can only deal with stuff that like cases that like get brought up to them. You should be more worried about Congress and the Senate and stuff, the ones that actually generate the laws more than anything else.
Well, the Supreme Court is a checks and balances on power, in the sense that they can actually strike down a particular law that can or cannot pass.
Right. It seems to be like that the circuit court justices or judges do a lot more than that than the Supreme Court. And it seems like Trump's justices tend to be more hands off than most justices.
Well, I mean, they weren't hands off when it came to.
You talk about Roe v. Wade,
Yeah.
where like even RBG said that
Yeah, I
the
mean,
way
I'm
that
not
they
a,
decided that shit.
yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Right.
Are you?
But when most liberal justices said that the way they got to where they did was garbage, it was going to be struck down eventually. So rather than the Democrats using it as a wedge issue to kick the can down the road, they should have voted for something, but now they get what they deserve.
Well, do you think that was like? Do you think that like abortion, the restrict or leaving it up to the states? Do you think that was a will of the people thing?
Yeah, because either you would get, say you would get a super liberal majority, you'd probably get unrestricted stuff, or if you got a super conservative majority get in, you would get like bans all across.
I'm saying like,
So now you.
Do you think that it would be that it was a? Do you think that most people wanted that?
Well, so what the Democrats want now is more unrestricted. What some of the 2025 people want.
They don't
is,
want it
like,
to be a states' rights thing. Do you think like
Right,
women's bodily autonomy is definitely a federal
reigns
issue and should
supreme,
not be
but-
left to the states?
Right, but some of the Democrats want it to be unrestricted, which was not what most of the people don't. Most of the people want some type of restriction. Most of the world wants some type of restriction.
Sure.
So the Dems
I mean,
that
but
want
who's
like
saying,
9 months
like, I'm a
unrestricted.
Democrat. I'm right here. I don't believe in like completely unrestricted abortion.
Right, but when you kicked it back to the states, some of the states are doing completely unrestricted.
Yeah, and some are doing 6 weeks.
Right.
Do you think 6 weeks?
But
What's your
then-
number at?
But just stick with what Europe has. Europe is what most of the world does anyways.
12?
What is it, 4 months or something like that? 16,
12.
16 weeks seems to be the
15? Some are 15.
16.
It's about it's 12 to 15. It depends on what.
Right.
Okay. Why that? I'm just curious. Because I have a very specific reason why I picked 20.
I think the way the justification for that is like pain. I think is what the 16-week mark generally is. It's when the nervous system starts like kicking in and stuff like that. So that might be the justification for that. Some of them pick like the beginnings of consciousness, which is just around 20-ish weeks. So some of them countries do it that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so you would make the argument at pain. Let me ask you
I'm
this.
saying
Do you
that's
think
saying what most countries. That's what most countries generally do.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're saying, are you like appealing to like the fact that it's like, do you agree with that finding, or do you just agree just because like all these other countries are doing it?
I think it's reasonable.
Okay, I understand you find it reasonable. I'm asking which, like, would you say that that the reason why you're picking that rule is because it's done a lot in Europe, or do you think that you agree with the pain idea?
Yeah, well, let's go that given other lines, it's probably like it's easy to measure. It's decent reasoning. So yeah, let's go that type of thing.
So you do agree with the pain thing?
Yeah, well, to make it simpler, make the argument simpler, let's go with that.
Okay. Do you think that, like, if there was a person who was brain dead that could feel pain, do you feel like that, let's say we observe them, they are brain dead, they are never ever going to recover. In fact, they're going to degenerate. It's going to get even worse, but they're going to feel pain the entire way. Do you think that, like, it would be okay to, like, terminate such a life?
That's a super tough call, man. Because now we're flipping the script because we're getting somebody.
I understand. We're not talking about a fetus. We're talking about a person who's already completely grown. And my question is whether or not that you place moral consideration based on pain, or whether or not that you place moral consideration on the basis of what I consider is conscious experience.
Because then at that point that would be the amount of threshold for pain, because now it's their ability, how much pain they're in, all those stuff. Because the other one's the ability to feel pain, and for the way that they abort is extreme pain.
So you're saying that's feel pain, right?
Yeah, because you know how the abortions are done.
That would mean a conscious experience.
Right, but you know how abortions are. They literally break the body apart. That's about the most amount of pain that anything can be put through.
Yeah, I get it. So, I'm of the belief that there is.
Can I finish? Whereas in the other one, that they're just putting people out of their misery. So it's a bit different. The analogy is quite different there.
Well, I think that. I hold that. That there are two criteria that we ought care about as people. And I think that, like, it seems to be roughly equivalent from what I can observe. And what I look at is a conscious experience. So there's, like, the conscious experience to before, and then the conscious, and whether or not that they could continue to have a conscious experience is what I would consider most important. And the reason why is because when you look at conscious experience as to where we stop giving something moral consideration, it seems to be pretty equivalent that we observe a point where a person no longer possesses a conscious experience, as in they're brain dead. And then that's where we drop their moral consideration. And so I said, okay, well, if that's the case, why couldn't that also be the case under the basis of before conscious experience? Right? As in, like, they've never had a conscious experience before. So it's like they could have a conscious experience in the future, but they never had a conscious experience. And so then I come to the conclusion that, okay, well, then I'm okay with abortion up to 20 weeks under the basis that the cerebral column isn't actually physically connected to the brain yet, as in their body is not really capable of feeling any kind of pain of any kind, because the brain isn't even there to process it. So anything basically prior to 20 weeks, you're good to go. So I lay it at exactly 20 weeks.
Okay, but like the fetus and the child, when they get born, they really don't have any type of measurable consciousness until like 2 years. So that's
no. So when I say
you look at the stuff,
consciousness or conscious experience, I don't mean consciousness. A conscious experience just means that you are experiencing external stimulus, right? So the baby doesn't remember any of it, and they're not going to be, like, consciously aware, but they are experiencing right? Like they can feel things, they react to movement and motion, they react to, music, they're obviously consciously reacting.
That's reaction to external stimuli.
Hmm?
Pain is literally a reaction to external stimuli.
I agree.
Most rudimentary form of that.
But so I'm saying that like now I would imagine that, I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure if you like ripped an arm off prior to there being a brain, it would not surprise me that the muscles would tense up, right? But I don't see how the baby would be the fetus would be experiencing that arm being ripped off. Does that make sense? Because it's the cerebral column isn't connected.
But it doesn't need to be connected because they've done studies on this.
Did you say it does or does not need to be connected? I'm sorry.
Does not need to be connected because there's some type
feel
of memory.
pain?
Yeah, the column itself can actually store some muscle memory movement and have some
But not pain. No.
type of. Yes.
No.
You can go look it up.
No. Where are you getting that? Do you think a
There's-
paralyzed person can like feel like their legs? Like, let's say if they're paralyzed from like the waist down, do you think they can feel their legs?
Dude, I'm telling you that there's some type of stored memory and stuff in the column itself. They've done recent studies on this. You can go look it up. I'm just telling you that this is a thing. I don't pull this stuff out of my ass. So, like I said, you can go search this.
Hold on.
1stAmender.
Okay, so not all paralyzed people feel this, but let's say if it was completely severed, if the spinal column was severed, column is severed, would you feel pain? I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
That's not what I'm getting at, though. The column itself still registers stuff, is what I'm getting. And when
I get it. I'm saying, do they feel pain?
The pain would be in the way that the brain is registering that. But I'm telling you that the column itself would be registering pain as the way that the column, spinal column would be registering it. That's what I'm saying.
So you would maintain 12 weeks under the basis that that you think that there's pain at the spinal column?
No, I'm still saying 16 weeks, but I'm saying that it's possible for it to still register pain. And
well, we're 4 weeks away from one another. We don't even disagree that much.
No, that's perfectly fine. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue so much. I'm just giving you the up-to-date studies and stuff like that on that type of thing.
Okay. Did you have anything else for me? That was an interesting talk. I was expecting more fighting, but that was pretty.
No,
cordial.
but it all depends on the stuff that we're debating, man.
Okay. I tried to pull something out of you, but I don't know. You just you were very polite.
No, it's me. One of these days you can get a contentious thing out of me, but
All right, Neil.
all right.
Well, I'll go ahead and move you back down to the audience. I really, you'll see a video. So just subscribe to my YouTube if you haven't already. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. I've moved Neil back down to the audience. If somebody else wants to raise their hand, hey, I'm right here. I'm an atheist, hardcore Democrat, cringe, liberal. Bro, I'm like clean for the pickings. All you got to do is raise your hand and give me your take. Otherwise, I'm just going to play some more Dark Souls. You guys like Dark Souls? I love Dark Souls. God, I'll play Dark Souls all day long. And miss this creature here. I'm going to miss it. Well, it turns out I'm dumb, and I'm about to die to this creature here anyway. It looks like Cole has requested to speak. Allow me a moment to avoid this bitch that will hug me. All right, I thought it was dead. It's not dead. Give me a moment. It's fine. We got this. Just gonna. All right. Well, let's just. All right. Okay, Cole. How you doing, Cole?
Dude, sorry, it's me. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
What did you come to
All right.
argue?
All right. I am very pro-life, and I know you're not, so I just wanted to
All right.
argue about that. I just want to know what are your limitations on abortion, if you have any.
Sure. So, the way that I came to my conclusion is that I can see that what we care about in terms of a human life. Hold on, it says I'm only streaming my Google Chrome, not. Oh, let me stream the correct thing. Sorry about that. Hold on, give me a moment. My fault. How's that?
Very good.
Yeah. So, so I look at things in terms of what we grant moral consideration. Because when we look at like humans, we don't necessarily give the same exact moral consideration between one human or another. For example, like a pedophile probably doesn't have as much moral consideration as a person who is perfectly innocent, right? We give less moral consideration for that person. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm also aware a fetus is not a pedophile. Relax. I'm just pointing out that we give things more or less moral consideration depending on the situation. So when we look at somebody who's brain dead, one thing that I like to look at is instances where you can pull the plug. You know, if a person is brain dead and it's basically going to be that pretty much for the rest of their life, you know, you have to ask yourself, you know, is it okay to terminate that person's life? What do you think?
I kind of reject your equivalency to the person who's not going to be getting better towards the end of their life. So if they're brain dead, if they had this serious, so let's say they had a big car accident, right? And they're brain dead. Something went really bad with their brain. They're not going to get better. Everyone knows they're not going to get better. They're not going to be able to live without this so-called life support ever in their life again, because they won't get better because they're brain dead. I don't think that's the same as a fetus, because in 9 months
we're nowhere close there. We are several steps from there. I'm asking you,
right.
a person. We're not talking about a fetus. We're nowhere close there yet. Okay. I'm asking if a person who is brain dead, do you think that it's okay to terminate something like that? Do we grant less moral consideration to someone who's brain dead versus someone who is not brain dead?
Do we know that they will not get better?
Yeah, we do a brain scan and we see 2 hollow holes where both of their hemispheres are. They're never getting better. This is never going to recover.
Then yes, I would say it's okay, because they're just suffering at that point. I mean, there's no life in there. They're not going to.
Well, they're
come out of that
technically
state.
alive. They're just
not
never
gonna come out
going
of that
to
state.
leave that state. Yeah.
Yeah, then they're never going to leave that state. So essentially, they're sitting there suffering for the rest of their life.
All right, cool.
If they can't do anything, they're not capable of doing anything, then yeah.
Cool. So we agree. All right. So then the next question becomes, if you extend that to a person who has ended their life, right? Why would the same exact case not be the case for a prior, right? As in, they have not had the conscious experience before. Because to me, I'm like, that's basically, as far as I'm concerned, that's basically the same thing, morally speaking. And I understand that the action is not the same thing, literally, but I'm saying that morally, it's effectively the same thing. And so I came up with the criteria that you must have had a conscious experience before and will continue to have a conscious experience in the future. And that's what I consider to having worthy of moral consideration.
Well, once again, I'm going to reject the equivalency of a a brain dead person and someone who committed suicide, because a brain dead person doesn't have the capacity to live, right? A person who committed suicide made that choice
I'm not. No. I didn't talk about somebody who's committing suicide. I'm saying did not have a conscious experience before, meaning prior to their inception, they didn't possess a conscious experience, right? And even as they're developing, they still do not have a conscious experience. Right?
But
And I
know you're
extend that
referring
on the
to-
basis of the death. So I'm not talking about suicide.
You're referring to a fetus who has not had a conscious experience beforehand, but has the possibility of a conscious experience,
Mhm.
right? A full-on possibility of a conscious experience. So I don't. That's not the same as someone who will never have a conscious experience.
Sure, yeah. Well, you're making that argument. I'm saying morally speaking, it's not different.
Morally, like the two people, like who have not done
Yeah, the one that's
fetus.
brain dead versus the one that has never had a conscious experience. It's basically the same thing.
No, because they have the possibility to have a conscious experience in the future, right? Whereas the brain dead person will never ever again have the conscious ability to have.
So where would you place
ex-
the moral consideration? Like, at
like
what point
time.
can they not abort?
Honestly, for me, I would say it's right at the beginning, and
Conception? So no abortion,
yeah.
basically.
Yep, that would align with what I
What
believe.
about pills? Can you plan B?
Pills, like to prevent that from happening in the first
Yeah,
place?
basically, no. So basically, they're really, 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 really early in. They could take a pill to terminate the pregnancy. Irma says, "Hi, Mamender."
I don't
Yeah,
know
hi.
about that. I don't necessarily agree with that. If they're already
Well, the Supreme
pregnant,
Court just legalized it. They actually just very recently allowed it. It's okay.
yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. But before pregnancy, yeah, I do. That I think it is okay to use protection, as you will, before pregnancy, but not after, because that baby is already made. It's already.
Well, so again,
Potentially.
this pill, what it does is that it terminates a pregnancy. So the baby has already is already fertilized and in the uterine wall.
Yeah,
and
I disagree with that.
So you can take a pill to actually terminate that. So you disagree with that as well.
Yeah, because that falls under the category of abortion.
Okay. So, do you feel that if people have access to abortions, that life gets better?
No, and that has actually been proven to, like, if
Really?
they have actually, no, I think I misunderstood your question. I might have misunderstood. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Do you think that when people have access to abortion, that life gets better?
When they have access to abortion, well, it depends if they use it. I mean,
No,
let's say
I'm not asking if they're using it or not. I'm asking does life get better if they have access to an abortion?
I would say no, and let me provide a reason why.
Okay.
In people who have abortions, right? It doesn't affect their mental health in a positive way at all. And there's no evidence to provide that it does.
Do you think that there's any positive metric?
Of aborting the baby? No, you just terminate a potential life. So I don't
None.
believe in that.
You can't think of any.
If you would want to enlighten me with a positive effect of killing a potential life, then yeah, you go ahead and do that.
Sure. So it decreases poverty. It increases educational outcome. It decreases drug use, and it decreases violent crime as well as petty theft. All of those are
Okay.
proven.
So I'm going to start with the first one. You said it decreases poverty. That is if you keep the baby. You can put it up for adoption. That's a very good possibility. You can do that. The second one was what?
Putting it up for adoption doesn't decrease poverty. That increases poverty.
You're talking about poverty with the person who had the baby because you have to care for the baby.
When you have a baby that then grows up to become 18 years old, they are now a person and a citizen in society. And it is very likely that sociologically speaking, they don't do very well because they've spent their entire life in the foster system.
Better than being killed, I would say.
Well, no, what I think is that I think people should have babies when they're ready.
Yeah, and people choose not to, and that is the consequence they
That's
must
their
behold
choice.
it.
What's the problem?
You just said
That
people
still
have,
means less poverty.
you still said babies or people have babies when they're not ready, and I said that's
Yeah.
their choice, and you go that is their choice, and they must uphold the consequences. Which I don't think there is a
Whoa,
consequence.
wait, what?
You're bringing
What?
bringing a baby into the world. I just said you must uphold the, I should say, quote unquote consequence, because I don't believe in a consequence of
Are you
having a baby.
arguing for a consequence to having a child?
No, I just said no. I literally
You're not
just
arguing
said
that.
no. I said quote unquote consequences because I don't believe that there is consequences.
So, okay, let's say that a girl at 15 fooled
Yep.
around one day and then is now pregnant.
Yep.
They should carry that baby to term. Why?
Yep. Because that's their choice, bro. That they chose to do that knowing what could happen. Now, when they go through those 9 months, right? They go through those 9 months. They have the baby. They can't financially aid, right? They don't have the financial aid to keep the baby. So what do? They put it up for adoption, right? And a newborn baby is very likely to get adopted. Okay, they're not just going to be an orphan, right? They're going to be in a new home.
You don't know
That's
that.
not how.
In fact,
I do.
plenty of
It's-
foster children do not get adopted.
But you're not. This
Also,
isn't
you're
this
forcing
isn't
a
a baby.
15-year-old to have a baby. They
What do they
ruin their
do?
entire body for the rest of their life over that.
And they chose to do that knowing the consequences.
So you
or not
think
knowing
that
the
they
consequences
should
of it.
have a consequence? This is why I was flabbergasted earlier. You said that you're not interested in a retribution, but when I hear you talk, it sounds like you're arguing in favor of retribution here. And this is at the consequence of a living person that then has to live the rest of their life through this consequence that they themselves didn't cause.
They did because they
The
decided
baby
to
chose? Did the baby
No,
choose? Did the baby
that's
choose to
not
go
what I'm
into
arguing
foster
against.
care?
No, but what
No,
are you?
they didn't choose, did they?
But what are you arguing against? I don't understand. What does that prove?
That point is that increases poverty. That makes life more miserable for people. It makes life worse. You're making the argument that it doesn't make life worse, but it does.
I would highly disagree with you, and the reason
What?
being
Is more poverty good?
okay, so it's better than not living.
Is more poverty good?
You're making the assumption. It's not. This is not. So
The
before you say it's a yes
listen,
or no question,
Cole.
it's not a yes or no question. Now, let me finish. I always let you finish. You gotta let me finish. Okay. It's not. It's good compared to being terminated in the womb. Now, on the whole,
That's
or
wrong.
not on the whole. No, that's wrong. It's better to.
Yeah, let me give you an
be
example.
killed.
So you're
It's
at
better to be
15 years
killed.
old, you get pregnant, right? And then
Yep.
you decide, or let's say that we live in your world and we just don't allow abortions whatsoever. That girl has to have a child. Because they have a child, the probability of them having another child in the future is much lower because they already have a child. They're not going to be interested in having another child. And so that mother will then spend the rest of their life likely dropping out of school, likely having to not go to college and just basically work a job in order to help pay for her kid. And then hopefully, the dad will be present, but there's a very strong possibility that they won't be. The point is that it's going to be a lot. And then the dad themselves, they would have to likely pay child support. And then on top of that, the mother is just basically going to be struggling. And then that girl doesn't actually get to have any education. And so the kid basically ends up having a lower educational standard because the mother never got to go to college. As opposed to they abort at 15 and then that girl goes off to college, gets to be 29 years old and then goes, okay, you know what? I think I want to have a baby now that I am ready and I have a degree. And then they actually have a degree and then they can pay for a child and take care of the child and then they live in a loving home. Do you understand the difference?
You're making the assumption that if the first hypothetical you said was that if they have the baby, they automatically get poor, which is true if you keep the baby. That's why you can put it up for adoption.
Cole.
If you put it up for adoption, it's better, right, than killing it.
It's not me making the assumption. It's you.
No, it's not.
Do you know why it's you?
Yeah, no, don't
The
gaslight
reason
me
why
like that.
it's you, though, Cole, not making
the
the assumption. The reason why it's you, Cole, making the assumption is because I'm the one that's saying that it should be up to a choice. But you, however, are saying that it should be up to a bunch of old people that are 1,000 miles away to then make an arbitrary decision as to whether or not this 15-year-old has to carry a child to term.
No, you made the hypothetical, so I'm going to respond to the hypothetical. Okay. Now let me finish, please. So we get to where this point where the 15-year-old has the baby, and you assume now they put it up for adoption. And all of a sudden, she drops out of school and she's now poor. That's not how it works, okay? You put it up for adoption and you continue to go to school. And then you continue throughout college and graduate college if that's the path you want to take. And you get a husband, right? And then you have a baby when you want to have a baby. Now, the other hypothetical was you get an abortion. So the same outcome is possible. The problem is you killed a baby. That's the only difference. Only difference.
No, so the difference is you can choose whether or not that you want to go through with the pregnancy or not, and by looking at judging by socio outcomes, you can see that it is in fact better to have access to abortion than it isn't. Right? You're the one making the argument that a bunch of old people 1,000 miles away should be able to make the arbitrary decision as to whether or not to terminate an unwanted pregnancy. And I am saying that it should be up to the individual who has to go through that in their life to make that decision.
Okay, so would you say if you terminated a baby, first trimester, no one is harmed?
Terminating a baby first trimester?
No one is harmed. Would you say that? Would you agree with that statement?
I agree that the baby or the fetus is effectively a human, and I suppose you could probably
whoa! Stop there!
I guess, if you wanted.
Stop there! The fetus is a human. Is a human?
Yeah.
And if you get an abortion,
taxonomically speaking, it's a human.
Yeah. So
that's the problem.
Yeah. So then you're killing a human.
Huh? Yeah. The question isn't whether or not you're
Yep.
killing a human. The question is whether or not that you grant that human moral consideration, and you yourself had agreed with that position. Do you understand what I mean by giving moral consideration? Why do you think I said
that's not what I said?
Why do you think I predicated my entire argument under the basis of moral consideration? Because I know it's killing a human. That's fine. It's killing a human.
Whoa, that's fine. That's fine.
We kill humans all the time. What are you talking about?
And that's not okay. So you just say that
it depends on the situation. There's humans that aren't worthy of moral consideration, and this is one of them.
This baby's not worth this. Okay. Let's take a few steps back. Let me just digest your argument real quick. I'm gonna say a statement to you, and I want you to just let me know if you agree with it. Okay? A potential life, a baby in the womb,
Fetus.
has no moral fetus. Yeah, who is a human, as you said earlier, or just a couple, like probably a minute ago, has no moral consideration.
Prior to 20 weeks, if you want to yeet that thing into space with the help of Elon Musk, go for it, dude.
Okay, so you admitted it's a human,
Make a
but
literal
we can,
firework out of it, bro.
but
Yeah,
we can,
sure.
but we can kill it.
I
because there's no
literally
moral
just said that
consideration.
not only can you kill it, you can make a firework out of it.
Okay, so that is just a sick way of thinking, actually, because
not at
you're
all.
killing so you don't think just killing a potential human is
Yeah, no, I'm asking whether or not that it is worthy of moral consideration. And you, by the
it
way,
is,
also
'cause it has
agree
the
with the same
potential.
exact thing.
I'm telling you why it has moral consideration is because it has the potential of
Yeah,
consciousness.
it doesn't have a conscious experience, nor did it used to have a conscious
But it
experience.
has
So I
the
grant it
potential.
zero moral consideration. That's how that works.
Potential. Okay,
Yeah,
you're
I understand it
comparing.
can in the future have that, but that's fine. They don't want to have that right now. They can deal with it later. You know what could actually end up happening? Rather than having 12-week-old, a 15 child at 15 years old, they have that child at 29 when they're prepared. So while they didn't necessarily have Greg, you know who they ended up having? They had Adam, and Adam's much better off than Greg.
Okay, so would you? I'm gonna have a follow-up question after this, so just answer with yes or no if that's what you can do. Um, would you consider a brain-dead person and a fetus the same moral capacity or moral consideration?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna use this argument from Socrates in the side chat.
Making a
Making
firework
a
of a brain dead
firework of a
person.
brain-dead person is not sick.
Obviously, I'm being hyperbolic with a firework. Relax.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
you should
But
be
yes, I
you should
think
be
you should be
pretty
able to terminate it just like as you could. Yeah, obviously we're not going to make fireworks out of fucking fetuses. Like, Jesus fuck.
well, you should be more precise with your words. This is a serious debate.
Yeah. Okay. It's called hyperbole. I feel like I felt like it's a pretty fun joke, but okay, fine. Yeah, I don't
No,
literally
it was.
think you can make fireworks out of fetuses. Relax. Jesus fuck.
All right. So,
I can't believe I had to preface that. Like, come on.
if I'm asleep, or no, if you're asleep, can I stab you to death?
What?
Because you're not conscious, right?
You
So
had
I
a
can just stab
conscious
you to death.
experience before, and you will continue to have a conscious experience in the future. It's completely cogent.
Continue to have a conscious experience in the future,
You will,
right?
you are checking off both boxes, which is my main
a
contentious argument.
a fetus will have a conscious experience in the future.
That's correct, but not before.
Yeah.
That's correct, but
what
not
does
before.
What does it matter? Well, what does the before matter?
Because
has
if
the
it
potential.
argues for the after, then that makes sense for the before. That logically follows. It's literally morally the
no.
same thing.
So you're saying that a baby who you admitted is a human, right? You admitted that, and it has this human, right, has the potential to become a life, and that's okay to just kill it.
Yeah. Prior to 20 weeks, but yeah.
Well, why prior to 20 weeks?
Because the cerebral column isn't connected till about 20 to 25 weeks. I'm willing to go ahead and concede to 20 weeks. But basically, it now possesses a conscious experience at 20 weeks in the sense that the cerebrum has now, the cerebral column has connected to the actual brain, which then means that it is now consciously experiencing its external sense stimulus.
But so at 19 weeks, you can just kill the baby.
Heat it into space, baby. Yep.
Okay, so it has. So your argument of it has never had a potential experience, or not potential, conscious experience is I wouldn't say logically coherent because once again. It can be. We're just cycling the same things over and over again.
I get it's a potential life, and then it'll become a life in the future. But that's not my concern. My concern is whether or not it matches both criteria. And the second thing is that I just I don't like the idea of like, I don't know, a dude like 1,000 miles away coming in and saying whether or not that somebody like needs to carry a baby to term or not. I don't think that's their body to make that decision. That's a shit ton of hormones. That's a whole lot of fucking trouble. And not only that, we have no idea whether or not that child socioeconomically is going to suffer. And I just think that should be up to the parent. And the reason why people often don't have kids is because of socioeconomic conditions. So it makes perfect sense to allow individuals to make that decision for themselves. Very
Okay,
simple.
socioeconomic conditions, right? That's why they don't have the baby, because they can't have the baby. They don't have the financial. They don't have
Yep.
They don't have the money to have this baby. So what do? You put it up for adoption. That fixes all your financial
What?
problems.
Yeah, but then you have to suffer for like that full 9 months, and then that child, then you've basically like exchanged all of that economic suffering onto the child. It doesn't make any sense.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, you did.
given it.
Yes, you
You
did.
give
You just put them
what's
into
suffering
foster home. You just put them into a foster home. There's no guarantee
Okay,
that
but
they
yeah,
will get
that's
adopted.
better than
And I
killing them. That's
promise
better
you,
than killing them.
I promise you, go ahead. And what I want you to do is go to any anti-abortion place. And hand out flyers for adoption papers. There won't be a single fucking person signing. I guarantee you. And then the next thing to point out is the amount of abortions that there are actually happening. Adoption is not the answer. I think you have about 6 million people in the foster care system, which, by the way, is already overloaded. And do you know how many abortions that there are on a yearly basis? It's like multiply that number by like 10, dude. It's nowhere close. It cannot handle the numbers you're talking about. What the fuck? I got a player here that wants to fuck with me.
Numbers I'm talking. I've not mentioned a number.
Yeah.
I've not mentioned a
So
single
if
number.
you remove all abortions, then that means anybody having a child, right? You have to turn that into literal people. And so because you've just turned that into literal people, that basically means that the entire adoption system now has to account for a huge number of people. And it can't handle that number.
Then fund the adoption system. I don't know what? the
What? Wait, are you
Fun-
arguing for like social safety nets? Stop. I'm getting a chubby. I have never heard a Republican ever argue in favor of a social safety net of any kind for kids. Do you want to get rid of food stamps?
No. I think
okay, that's
people. I think people should. Be as encouraged to get off of them, but they shouldn't be getting rid of. I mean, there's no reason that we need to get rid of food stamps. I mean, that's an entirely different argument.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, you said this is where I'm caught up, is because you said it's a human as a fetus, right? You said that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's okay to kill it, even though it has. Okay, well, what is your fetish with conscious experience on beforehand? Like, what is so
That's
important
weird.
about that?
That's
What
really,
is it so important about that?
That's really weird. Fetish? No, it's not a fetish.
I'm pretty sure it is. You're so caught up on.
No. So what I do is
conscious
that I look
beforehand.
at like I thought about, okay, what is it about humans that like you would inherently end up having to care for them, right? And so I thought about it for a bit, right? And the best argument that I was able to conjure is a conscious experience. Because it's like, what is it about a human? Like, think about it, right? If I took a human and I, let's say, for example, that there was like the possibility of a brain transplant to like a robot or something. I take like my brain and I put it in a robot, and then like I think, what would people like care about? Would they care about like the useless husk that was my body, or would they care about the robot that has like this brain that is able to like communicate just like I used to, you know? And something, just thinking about that for a moment, makes me go, I think the humans would care for the robot. I think they would, because they would be like, okay, that is now me, right? The useless husk that's just meat. It's just a useless meat sack. It doesn't do anything, right? So there's something inherently valuable that we're considering when we're considering the robot with the brain. It's the fact is it's the conscious experience. We look at the experiences and the life they lived and who they were, and we go, okay, that's what we find valuable in terms of humans. And so, yes, that's why I care about it. Sure.
Okay, so at at fertility, right? When the at fertility, like an hour and a half or something after fertility, all the genes are decided, right?
Mhm.
They're decided. So that um, fetus is who it is. It's everything is whether the heck it's gonna have brown hair, blue eyes, whether it's gonna be tall, whether it's gonna have any disabilities. It's all decided then, and so that would be a life. I mean, I don't know how
I
we
understand
can.
it's a life. The question is whether or not it's worthy of a moral consideration. I understand at
It
conception
is,
it's a life. The question is whether or not you care.
but your logic is saying that it's okay to kill a life.
Yeah. You're also okay with killing somebody even though that it's a life.
No, that
You're not?
we have different ideologies on that. I just
Let's
said
say
we were
somebody's
just
going
going
to
over
come
this.
into your house and they're going to
Let me
rape your mother,
let,
and that they're
let me
going to say, I'm going to shoot the shit out of your mother if you don't cooperate. But you are hiding and you can make a shot. Are you going to make a shot? I'd make a shot. Would you make a shot?
Yeah, obviously that's not coherent. Well,
But
that's not
wait, that's a
even.
life.
I reject your equivalency.
I
Once
understand.
again,
I understand. I understand that this murderer is not the same as a fetus. I agree with you. It's not. But I'm telling you that you don't give life this inherent value. It depends on the person. It depends on the situation. That's
we don't
my
even know
point.
the fetus yet. We don't even
I'm
know
I'm
the fetus
aware. I'm
yet.
aware. I'm aware. I'm just pointing out that I don't grant the fetus moral consideration. However, you do. Okay. And so you don't sit there. You can't lean on
You
the fact that
compared it
it's a
to a
life.
murderer.
You can't stop. You can't lean on the fact that it's a life as being the thing, because you grant different moral consideration on different lives. That means that life isn't necessarily what you care about. Do you understand that?
No,
You're not a
it
pacifist
is.
in the
No, let
situation with the
me
aggressive person.
explain. Let me explain. Let me explain. We give different moral considerations to different people who have different things. I give more moral consideration to, um, I don't know, George Washington than I do Jeffrey Dahmer, because I already know what they have done. I know that Jeffrey Dahmer is a murderer, and I know that George Washington isn't, right? But we don't know what the fetus is going to be.
I don't give moral
It could be
consideration to any of them because they're both dead.
uh, well, if they were alive and what they did, compared to what they did.
Got
Um,
them. Got
no,
'em, boys. We got them.
so
No, okay,
so if
I'm
we
sorry.
did, if
Assuming they're alive, okay.
assuming they're
Yeah. I mean,
alive,
obviously, I give more consideration to George Washington yeah.
yes, because we know what he has done, and we know that what Jeffrey Dahmer did was obviously, I mean, any sane person would say this, that they're that he deserves less moral consideration than George Washington because of things he's done. But we don't know what
Yeah,
the fetus
so
is going
the
to do.
bait. Well, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But stop saying that it's a life, okay? Because you
It
don't
is. You
really
said it
care.
was a life.
Stop. I understand it's a life. I'm saying you don't grant it moral consideration on the basis that it's a life, okay? Because it appears that even though that, because if you can imagine, Jeffrey Dahmer is also a life, but you don't give moral consideration to Jeffrey Dahmer because of the bad things he did. Okay. And so it's not necessarily a life that you care about. It's the fact, it could be like the potentiality, for example. That would probably be more accurate. It's not life. That's not what you apparently care about. Because if you did care about it, you would give just as much moral consideration towards Jeffrey Dahmer.
That's not true because let me explain. Because Jeffrey Dahmer killed people. He took away life.
This
So
is going over your head.
it's not, and
It
I'll
is.
explain.
It really is.
No. So when we discuss whether a fetus has moral consideration, you say you're comparing. You were comparing it to someone who comes into my house and threatening to shoot my mom or something. I don't know what the hell you're comparing it to. And
Yeah.
that's
So
just
the
that's
point that I was trying to make is that you don't give moral consideration on the basis that it's a life. You're giving it moral consideration on the basis of potentiality, right? Because the life, the fetus, you don't know what life it's going to have. Okay.
yeah, correct.
And so you give it more moral consideration than Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not the life. Stop saying it's a life.
It's the potentiality
Yeah.
of a life.
Okay. So, okay. Let me ask you this. Let's say, worst case scenario, there is a crack whore. Okay. All they want is the next score of rock. They don't give a shit about this baby. Okay. They don't give a shit about babies. All they want is their next hit of rock. Okay. And the way that they do this is, they're kind of out of money. And the way that common for crack smokers, this crack smoker realizes that, hey, I can actually get another score of rock if I tell my dealer that I would have sex with them. Okay. And again, they're not really concerned about STDs or babies or none of that shit. All they want to do is that next score of rock. Right. And so they have sex with the drug dealer, and then there they go. They got their next score of rock. Okay. A few months down the line, they realize that they're pregnant. Okay. But all they really want is that next score of rock. Right. And they just really just want to get rid of this fucking baby and just be done with it. Do you think that this person should have to carry the baby to term?
Yeah.
All right. What's
Okay.
the potentiality of that baby surviving?
I would not know, but it's better than just it. There's a
Really?
more.
I would venture to say, if there's no access to abortive care, it's zero. The answer is zero. This baby will be on the side of the road and will be dog food. That's what I think will happen.
Put it up for adoption is what I'm saying. It's better
No.
than with the
They're not going to bother. Do you understand? They will literally carry a baby to term in a crack den, and then a dog will eat the placenta in the baby. And nobody will be the wiser. The answer is it's a zero probability, right? There's no potentiality in this baby. Why not just end the fucking suffering?
That's where I believe you to be wrong. Is there's a more of a chance of it living
So
when it comes out of the womb, than it is when it is terminated in
and
the
has
womb.
like a
That is
crack
just
whore mom for the rest of their life?
it's a bigger. This is a it's facts. I don't know how you could not believe this to be factual. They have a better chance of living when they come
dying
out
of
of the womb.
cringe.
Than how is this? There's just facts. I don't know how.
Why? I don't understand.
Why? Okay, if you don't understand, let me dumb it down for you. If a baby exits the womb, right, and they're a person, right? They're accounted for the I don't know how to explain it, but they're out of the womb, right? If they're abandoned, they still have a higher chance of living than a baby who has been terminated in the womb. That is just
I wouldn't, dude, honestly,
That's logic.
if I was consciously aware as that baby, I would be like, dude, put a gun in my fucking mouth now. Are you out of your fucking mind? I am not going to spend a minute with a crack whore mom, dude. It's going to be a fucking nightmare.
You would have been abandoned.
Correct. Yeah. So dead. The baby is dead.
No, it's not. You're
dead
you're
at
missing.
birth.
No, God, let me once again explain this to you. If a baby is abandoned on, like you said, the side of the road, do you think people are just going to drive by and leave it there?
Some people don't even notice. Again, they're in a crack den. They're inside somewhere. They don't, and guess what? Ain't nobody give a shit about that baby in that crack den.
It's better than
you don't have
killing the
random
baby.
people just walking by, walking their dog and looking at this little crack baby on the side of the road. This is likely somewhere private in an alleyway, and they throw it in the garbage. They try to smother it to make it dead, so that way it doesn't cry. Shit like that, like horrible shit.
Okay.
That's like not like it sucks.
How many
Like
times?
it's awful.
Okay,
Why
you brought
why
up numbers.
force this to term?
You brought up numbers. How many times do you think it's going to happen?
What? I'm saying that happens by not
No,
having access to not giving access to contraceptives, by not giving not teaching basic sex ed, by not giving people the services they need. There's a reason. Why
Basic sex
why
ed
do you
is being
think the
taught in
government?
schools.
Why do you think the government actually subsidizes Planned Parenthood? Why do you think they do that?
Basic sex ed has been taught in schools, so that's
Why
a
do you
logical
think
follow-up.
they do that?
Do
Does
what?
Planned Parenthood do that? Why are they? Why?
Do
I'm
what?
sorry. Why does the government subsidize Planned Parenthood?
I well, I don't understand the. You're gonna have to expand on that because I don't really have an answer for
What
you.
is Planned Parenthood to you?
Couldn't tell you. Enlighten me.
Planned Parenthood is the area where they allow abortion access, and the abortion access is paid for by taxpayers. Actually, hold on. Let me rephrase that. It is not directly paid for by taxpayers, but by donors, right? But that there are some subsidies, government subsidies, not directly to abortion, but to other administrative costs that are paid for by the government. Right. And so I'm asking you, why do you think they pay for that, such a thing?
How about you tell me? You're making this argument. You tell me.
Because of the societal benefit that's reaped from it. The reality is that by allowing people to choose as to when and where they want to have their baby, they end up having better decisions. They can plan their life out in such a way where they don't have to necessarily suffer, aka having a child at 15 versus 29 with a degree.
Okay. With an abortion.
Yeah.
I assume you know how a baby is aborted, right? They get.
No, enlighten me. I have no idea.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I'm a joke. That's
So
a joke.
they
That's a
get.
joke. That's a joke.
Okay, so it's not pleasant, right? It's not pleasant at all. So you're saying that is better than the potentiality of a life.
What? Say that again.
In a crack den, right?
Mm-hmm.
A baby getting aborted is not a pleasant way to go.
Yeah, I get it.
So yeah, so it's what I'm saying is it's better for the possibility
Well,
of living, right, than it is
but
for that
what
egregious.
what you're doing is not allowing people to make that choice, but rather a politician or a Supreme Court justice 1,000 miles away make the arbitrary decision as to whether or not that this person must be forced to carry a baby to term. That's the problem I have, okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm very much pro-choice when it comes to policy, but like me personally, I like to assume responsibility for myself. And if I got a girl pregnant, I would say, let's, please, carry the baby to term. And then, I will do my best to take care of it. We'll make it work out, cause I like to be personally responsible and it would not be the biggest deal for me. But like, that's not necessarily true for everybody, right? There could be a kid that's just going through high school and they made a dumb decision because kids don't have their prefrontal cortex fully developed. And so they make a bad decision. I don't think that means that person should then suffer the rest of their life for it.
There won't be suffering the rest of their life for it. They can
dude,
put the
it's a
baby up
struggle.
for adoption.
It's a struggle. Even at 25, it's a struggle.
You're saying suffering for the rest of your life when that is just not true.
What?
Okay?
Yeah, no, that is true. The probability
No,
of
baby,
suffering financially is a lot higher having children than not.
Baby can be put up for adoption.
What? Then the child. Then you've just passed off those losses over onto that child. You have no idea whether or not that child will be able to adopt. And there's also the fact that the adoption agencies can't uphold that many children. If you assumed a life begins at conception, you better multiply the foster care system by 10. And then, by the way, just so you know, everybody who's fucking pro-life doesn't fucking want to adopt. There's so few people that actually want to adopt. So it's not an end all be all discussion.
That I would here's how I would go about this. I would here's how the abortion would be banned. Pro-life would essentially
Socrates
win, I
says
guess is
1
what
to
I'd say,
2
but-
million in the U.S. waiting on the list to adopt. How many abortions are there a year?
Okay, so
How many
let
abortions?
me also finish. How I would go about this is banning abortion, right? And
see.
then proceeding to fund these adoption clinics and orphanages, because that's where these babies will go, because these high school kids who can't take care of a baby will be forced to put them up for adoption. And I don't really see a problem with that at all, because if you don't put it up for adoption, then you will have to like a crack den, right? You said they're not going to put it up for adoption. No one cares about that baby. That's just child neglect. Okay, that happens now.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree.
so-
So like, I think we should reduce that child neglect. Don't you think?
Yeah, and it's not. It's not that it will be reduced.
I think it should be
okay?
like up to a choice and not like some random ass fucking politician or person who in the Supreme Court to make that decision.
That's child neglect. It's not.
No.
Pro-life,
so here's the thing,
pro-choice.
right?
It's
The
just
question
child
is whether or
neglect.
not that you grant it moral consideration. And we've talked about this portion. I get that you disagree with it, but I'm saying that like by having the moral consideration at such a high bar, then you actually make life worse, not better. A lot worse. Not a little bit worse, a lot of bit worse.
Yeah, I actually agree with Christian anarchist in the side chat. He says we shouldn't kill children because it's practical. Okay, you yourself remember this.
So I just want to be clear. Why do you uphold particular principles?
Why do I uphold
Yeah.
particular
Do you uphold
principles?
principles for principle's sake, or does it have like an underlying root to it, as to like why that like you consider this principle to be important, so you uphold it?
Because I believe it to be right. I don't know.
So you
Morally
say
right,
that principle good because principle good.
Principle good because principle good. I believe the principle is right. Okay, so that's why I believe in those
right
principles.
equal good, and so you're saying principle good because principle good. So here, let me help you out. I got you. So what I consider to be good is whether or not that it has better outcomes. Okay, and so when there is a principle that we care for human life. By the way, I'm very much in favor of caring for human life. But then I'm asking, why do I care for human life? And the reason why I care for human life is that I want people to have better outcomes. If the caring of the human life ends up in worse outcomes, then I would not be in favor of that thing. Okay. And so in this situation, when you're talking about the individual choice of that of that person, I think that should be up from individual to individual in a discussion with their doctor, not a random politician 1,000 miles away. So I'm asking you, why do you uphold that principle?
Because the root of this is I believe that life is the absolute greatest gift you can receive. And do you disagree with that? That is a core point to my belief. That is a core belief that...
Is that stemming from religion?
No, I'm not religious. I just believe that life is the greatest gift you can get.
Okay. Yeah. So like, would you say that like, if I gave you a life where you're forced in a cage your whole life, would you rather be dead or would you rather just live in that cage your whole life? Me personally, I'd rather be dead. Just kill me. Just literally just end it.
You're making that point would be this fetus is just going to live in the cage for the rest of his life. It's not, okay? So you can't use that argument.
But it could end up dying of malnourishment because it's in a crack den. It could
'Cause
also
that
end
is-
up. It could also
that
end
is
up in
child
poverty for
neglect.
basically its entire life, and is now just like a schizophrenic homeless man underneath the bridge that nobody cares about.
That isn't
Right.
child neglect that happens today.
Huh?
I said that's child neglect
No,
that
no, no.
happens
So,
today.
so you could take the child to the foster care system, and then they end up being the homeless schizophrenic man in the underneath the bridge.
Yeah, I'm looking to at the National Library of Medicine. Abortion. What I'm extrapolating from this is that abortion reduces abortion and mental health. It's not good. If you get an abortion, mental health goes down statistically.
I mean, I
There's
guess
an
I can
81%.
agree with that, but I
There's an
think
81.
that needs to be a decision that's made by the doctor and the person that has to go take that baby to term. That's the difference, right? You think it should be a politician 1,000 miles away, and I think it should be up to the person to make that decision.
Oh, but you're not here. I'll link it so you can look at it if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to, if you and don't say it's not a viable source because it is. It's the National
That's fine.
Library of Medicine. So if you get an abortion, you are statistically more likely. It's 81% is what it says. Increased risk of mental health problems.
Sure.
Okay. That would so if like you that would correlate to the argument of you saying that if you have a baby at 15 getting an abortion, there's an 81% risk 81% increased risk of mental health problems. Okay, so that would actually damage you more than just putting the baby up for adoption.
Do you think that there are other outcomes?
Well, here are the outcomes.
Like reducing crime, reducing poverty, increasing educational standards, reducing drug use?
It reduces crime and reduces drug use because there are less people. Okay, that is not a correlation.
No.
To,
So having a child, I don't know if you knew this, but having a child increases the rate of poverty. Okay, because it's hard to take care of a child in a first world country. Okay,
So you
and
put it
because
up
it's
for adoption. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
no, but then you've just passed off those losses onto the child. Do you understand the problem?
No, because
And
this
also, the
you
foster care
also were not
system
understanding.
can't handle all of that.
You didn't understand what I said earlier. I said that we would, if you put the baby up for adoption and we ban abortion, we would, in turn, fund these orphanages and adoption clinics. Is what I was saying, like immensely, because we did ban abortion.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I'm
still
saying.
think it
So
needs to be up to the decision of each individual, to each individual, not some random politician 1,000 miles away. Hot
okay,
take.
again, it wouldn't be up to the abortion would be up to a politician. However,
What?
the
Is it not?
choice of having the choice of keeping the baby as your own would be your choice because you can put it up for adoption.
Yeah, I mean, I see you keep saying adoption, but that's not the answer. It's literally impossible, your answer, without having to fund the shit out of it when this can just
I
be
just
so much
said
easier.
fund it. I just said
I
fund
get
it.
it.
Did
It's
you
just,
not
I
hear
don't
me?
think it's adequate. I don't think it's adequate.
It is. We have enough money to fund it.
This is also an assumption, right? That you think that these women can honestly, they basically have to ruin their body for their entire life because the decision that they made when their prefrontal cortex isn't even fully developed. It's absolutely insane
It isn't ruining your body as much as you think it is. People have multiple babies and they're
absolutely
fine.
can ruin your body. What do you mean?
It can, just like the baby
It
can
changes
have
your
a
body
great life.
forever. The hormones are different. You've got stretch marks all over the place. I think that should be up to I think that needs to be up to a decision made by the doctor and the person who has to have the child, not a random politician 1,000 miles away.
again, the choice of keeping the baby would not be up to a random politician.
Yeah, it is. By restricting abortion, that's literally what you are doing.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. Can you repeat that? I had to talk to someone else.
By making a law saying you can't have an abortion, that means it is literally up to a politician 1,000 miles away. That's what that is.
I said that would be up to said politician a
Yeah.
1,000 miles away.
I think that's terrible.
But keeping the baby, keeping it as your own.
I think that's dependent.
It's up to
I think
you.
it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. But you know what? That would be an argument for my side. That means that you can have the choice. Do you understand that I'm not arguing for compulsory abortion?
Yeah, I do understand that.
Rock spinner.
You literally said yourself. You said yourself that you
What?
If you no, let me I'm trying to tell you. You said yourself that if you got a girl pregnant, you would advocate for her to keep it until keep it to full pregnancy, and you say you would take care of it as your own. Like you said that, right? I know what you're advocating for. You're just advocating for the choice.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I know what you're arguing for.
Uh-huh. And
you just said you didn't. You just said, do you even know what I'm arguing for? I responded to you, yes, I do know what you're arguing for.
Yeah. So you know that I'm not arguing for compulsory abortion.
Yeah. Just said that.
So I think you bringing up situations or different situations where it could be good for one person or bad for another person.
Never said it could be bad.
Hmm?
Never said it could be bad.
You're acknowledging my positions as like, hey, these are bad situations, right? Crack baby's not a good. Yeah, I don't care. What do you mean?
You don't care. What do you mean?
The point is, it happens.
Yes,
it's like, oh, this is child neglect. Oh, wow, good. The baby's saved now. Oh man, you helped it, Cole. Now that we know it's child neglect, the crack mother, now that she's gonna be like, oh shit, this is child neglect. I gotta get my shit together. Let me get out of here. What are you talking about? It's a crack mother.
You understand when you understand when people have kids, their entire life view changes about children.
That is an argument for choice. Do you understand? Because there's situations where it's good and there's situations where it's bad. But you're making the argument that always bad, and you always need to make sure that you're having the baby no matter what, because that always good. Jesus fuck.
It's a life, okay?
All right.
You're arguing moral consideration.
You are killing me
That's
here.
Just,
so
no,
I'm going to let you have the last word. I'll let you go for it, and then I'm going to move on to the next person, okay? Go for it.
All right. Abortion is wrong because it's a potential life. You're killing a baby who has a potential life. So, yeah, that's about it.
Good talk, Cole. That is a fucking bonkers conversation. All right. Now, if you would like to raise your hand, I do got a little bit of extra time. You will see that video, Cole. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. YouTube.com/@1stAmender. There you go. All right, we're going to go ahead and invite Christian Anarchist. Come on up, Christian Anarchist. What you want to debate about? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I just had a bit of a question about the debate you just had, sort of thing.
Sure.
And I'm only going to speak just for a little bit because I got to dip after this. But so you were debating about abortion, and you were bringing up points about, like, for example, like systemic poverty and sex education and all these sorts of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's my position that, like, before I think we should even touch, abortion legislation, we would need to have all that infrastructure in place, like more subsidies for the foster care industry and the contraceptive industry, et cetera, et cetera. But I was sort of wondering, if we had those systems in place, would you then still advocate for it being pro-choice, or do you think abortion should be legal at that point?
I would still be pro-choice, but I think if you had services like that, you would actually have a huge reduction in abortion rates. Yes. I think like people naturally would make that decision for themselves. You would not need to legislate it.
But why wouldn't you need to legislate it? Because obviously, like you said, we'd see a reduction in abortions that happen out of desperation, for example. So it would seem to be that even right now, the majority of abortions that are had are done for convenience sake. And that would certainly be the case of even more so, proportionally.
Well, right now they're not necessarily done out of convenience sake. For example, in Florida, it's illegal, I think 6 weeks. Anywhere after, most women aren't even aware they're pregnant at 6 weeks. And so the fact that there is a 6-week ban in Florida means there's basically 0 abortions. Every single clinic is closed. The only difference is now they basically have to go to, I think it's either North Carolina or South Carolina. It's the only area. They basically have to go hundreds of miles to be able to access the abortion just because it's now up to the states. It's nonsense.
Well, I mean, obviously, whether or not an abortion should be accessed in the first place is going to depend on whether it's moral, right? And whether or not it can be, there's practical alternatives, right?
What do you consider, why do you, if you're in favor of morality, yes?
I'm a big fan of morality, for sure.
Okay. So, why do you care about something that is moral versus immoral?
Because that's what it means to care about morality.
So you care about morality because you care about morality? Is that your argument?
Well, if you're asking me a meta ethics question, I suppose I believe that there are, immaterial moral objects or something that in line with the belief of the correspondence, what's it called? The correspondence theory of truth or whatever it's called. I believe that propositions relating to morality refer to those things, I guess, but I don't see what that has to do with.
So you've got some underlying ethereal thing that represents the moral. What?
No, it wouldn't really matter. If I was to just say here that my morals.
So I can back up why I consider my why I pursue something moral versus immoral. Right. I think that all morality stems from a propagation of survival. And I think that it's not just to survive, but actually to live a quality of living that allows more of Maslow's hierarchy of needs to be satisfied versus less. Right. And so if you're talking about situations where by having this child, it makes life worse, that makes me go, okay, well, that's not something that I would morally find acceptable, right? Because I have a predication of why I consider something to be moral versus immoral, right? So I'm asking you, what is it? And I have no idea what you just explained. To me, it sounded like that you said that there are these ethereal things that represent that morality and that you uphold that. I have no idea what the fuck that means.
I think I misunderstood your question. Are you sort of asking me if I'm a consequentialist? Because yes, I am. I judge it based on the consequences, I guess. Okay,
so would you say that more poverty, is that good? Let's say you uphold the life thing, more poverty, that good?
Well, obviously poverty is not good, right?
Okay, so you want less poverty in society, right?
Well, yeah, it's a classic trolley problem, right? So if you've got a set of bad circumstances on one end, but in order to avoid those bad circumstances, you have to bring about worse circumstances. Then you'd bring about the least bad circumstances, right?
Yeah, I agree, but you understand that that's an argument from choice, right?
Well, no, because it's a question of
you're giving variability to the fact that, hey, in some situation it could be pretty bad, right? Would you say that crack baby probably abort that? Probably just kind of needless suffering for no reason?
No, not necessarily. Like, I
What?
don't think just because you're a crack baby, you lack the right to life. But I think there are certain
What?
situations, for example, where if the baby is going to die, and like we can know that about like to a reasonable degree of certainty, right? Or like if the mother's life is in danger, for example, then I would entertain the idea of abortion. But that's not the question of choice. That's the question of if the actual facts of the matter, which choice has nothing to do with, if those facts of the matter, are such that someone's going to die if they
Well, I
have this
agree with
baby.
you in the fact of the matter of 20 weeks, but again, I've already given my predication as to why I even care about that to begin with. So,
So your
I'm
cutoff line
lost.
is 20 weeks.
Hmm?
Your cutoff line is 20 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody has an abortion at 18 weeks, do you consider them a murderer?
No,
But they're taking a life by your definition, wouldn't it?
that's correct. The question is whether or not it's worthy of moral consideration. A murder is where you are taking a life unjustifiably, right?
By the way, I misspoke. I
it
meant to
basically
say
has to be justifiable.
Right. So I understand that there are certain situations in which we either have to take a life or let somebody die. In certain situations, I just don't agree that abortion is necessarily those situations, right? And I don't think it should come down to the individual choice of the person. Like, I don't think, if you're saying that somebody's
Why?
born a crack baby, I don't
Do you
think
have an
a crack
instance where
mother
someone
should be.
where you can take away the autonomy of an individual on the basis of another individual?
Absolutely. Prison, when we put murderers in prison, right, we take away their autonomy so that they don't go killing more innocent people, right? Like
Okay,
the
yeah, sure.
entire
Fair
concept,
enough.
the entire concept of like
Fair enough.
having anything
I
at
should
all.
have seen that.
Yeah.
So, I get your argument. I think that by upholding your moral system, I think you're making society worse. Society gets worse by upholding this strict moral standard. And the reason why we care about morals is because outcomes. And again, you've argued that the consequentialism is the move. So I think that you actually can't be pro-life if you want to maintain your consistency.
Well, let's look at the two choices we have here, right? On the one hand, we either let the babies live, and then there's maybe an increase in poverty, which, by the way, can be addressed through systemic means rather than just abortion, right? We can have welfare for pregnant people, for example. I'm massively in favor of that. Or on the other end of the trolley problem, we kill children. Now, just me personally, maybe this is an intersubjective thing. I would think killing children is a bad outcome.
I would just have both.
Killing children and poverty?
Well, the killing children. The killing children. We're talking about killing a fetus, and the question is whether or not it's worthy of moral consideration, right? You're obviously you wouldn't load your arguments, right?
Well, yeah, obviously that's the very thing in question, right? Like, at what point does life become life? But I don't think that the answer to that question
it's life at conception. The question is not whether or not it's life at conception. The question is whether or not that it's worthy of moral consideration. Do you understand the difference?
I get what you're saying, right? But whether or not somebody possesses moral rights and human rights does not come down to whether or not other people choose to recognize that. Not in the moral sense, maybe in the practical sense, but not in the moral sense.
That's not true.
For example,
where are you getting that?
So you're saying that whether or not
what's
as an
stopping
individual
everybody
have the right
in town from coming into your house and ripping you apart right now?
Well, like I said, in a practical sense, nothing. They could do that if they wanted
That's
to.
correct.
But in a moral sense, right.
That's correct.
Like
and honestly, if you think about it, right,
rights.
there's like a government that has like a monopoly of force that like enforces your rights. But honestly, if the government just kind of wanted to yeet you, they probably could and get away with it. Like it would be really, really hard to stop. Like, so no.
And
like,
that would be morally wrong. Yeah.
Well, okay, whatever. But I'm just saying that could just be taken away at any moment. But that's not the point. The point that I keep trying to make is that the reason why you care about things is because of outcomes. And obviously the outcomes are better by having access to abortion. And I can provide you the studies that show that outcomes do get better when people have access to abortion.
Do any of those studies say that killing children is, morally...
Why are you loading the question? We're talking about a fetus, not a child.
Well, that's the whole thing.
And we're also talking whether or not that
pro-life argument.
That it's worthy of moral consideration. You're baking into your basis of definition. Talk about what it is. A fetus. It's a fetus. It's not a child. Right? A tree is not a seed. Is a tree a seed? It's not a seed, right?
We're
A seed
getting-
is not a tree.
we're get-
So
getting
a
into- we're
fetus
getting
is
into
not
the
is
sugar piece.
isn't a baby. Not yet. It will be eventually if they seek it to term.
Well, because of the arbitrary line you've drawn at 20 weeks, that's just an arbitrary determination you've made. Like nobody actually knows the line at what point where it crosses. So
Wait, whether or
like-
not something's arbitrary doesn't mean it's like something that's not worthy of consideration. Like, what are you talking about?
what I'm
What is this
talking about
argument?
is that you keep trying to say, well, it's a fetus, it's not a baby. That's the very thing in question.
Yeah,
That's
we're
what
talking
the
about a
debate is
fetus,
essentially-
not a child, right? When you hear
That's
child, I
what
think
we're
like a
debating about.
5-year-old that I took to the bank, and then they go to the banker, and then they say, "I would like a lollipop, please." That's what I think about when I hear child, right? I don't think of fucking like a fucking little like bean inside a uterus. Okay?
Well, I'm very happy you have a Freudian word association with the word child that invokes a certain image in your head, but that has nothing to do with the definitions
What's a
which are going
fetus?
to determine
What does that
whether or not
invoke?
something has
What does that
a
invoke?
life.
Does that invoke child?
I don't. What are you trying to ask me if the word fetus invokes an association with the word child?
Yeah.
I
Do you
mean,
think
I
it's like
suppose
child?
so.
Do you think it's like child
Kind of.
in your brain?
I don't
That's
associate
weird.
it with adult.
That's
I don't
weird.
associate it
All
with
right,
adult.
let me ask you this. We're gonna try this. Do you
Hang
think?
on, my mic cut out.
Do you think? Yeah. No, I'm thinking. Do you think? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, I can hear you. Sorry.
All right. There's a burning building. Okay.
I've heard this. Yeah.
What? What's wrong?
Sorry. Go on. I've heard the example. Sorry. Go on.
There's
Sorry,
a burning
I
building,
shouldn't-
and there is a literal baby crying in a crib, right? And then there is also a large large tray full of fetuses that will be put into a mother the next day. There's like, I don't know, there's like 100 of them. There's like 100 of the fucking fetuses. Okay, ready to go, right? Are you saving the tray or the baby?
Yeah. So to sort of preface this argument, my answer to this question, I want to just sort of explain something real quick, right? So how I ground the value of life, right, is I ground it in its potential, right, what it could be, right? So
Just say the fucking
for
tray.
example,
Say it. Just own the fucking ridiculous.
no,
Go ahead.
no.
What is it?
No.
Just
No, I
give
would
me your
all right,
answer.
All right. I'm going to give you my answer. I would take the baby, but I want to explain my answer why. Okay. So I would ground the value of human life in its potential of what it could be. All right. So, for example, sorry, someone's messaging me. 1 sec. So I would ground it in its potential of like what it could be. Right. So, for example, an 80-year-old man has. It sounds pretty horrible, but an 80-year-old man probably doesn't have as much value as a baby, even though they both have the right to life, because the 80-year-old man doesn't have much time to live, right? Now, as somebody who's already born, somebody who's already a baby, has a greater, like, I'm going off of, statistics here, a greater propensity to, actually have been alive, right? They're already alive, and they're, they have a greater future
Wait,
ahead of them, presumably.
The fetuses are alive.
But the fetuses, there are
And they're gonna
all
be put
sorts of
into a baby
complications.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I understand
Or into,
that.
No,
The
not
fetus,
a baby. We're not going to make a baby pregnant. A mother.
Yeah, no. But yeah, in the case of the mother, because of things like miscarriages and all that sort of stuff, there's a greater likelihood that each of those fetuses, that something could go wrong. So therefore, somebody who has the right to life already, versus somebody, because I don't necessarily think that life even begins at conception in terms of moral consideration.
So you are giving
but-
less moral consideration towards fetuses than you are babies.
Correct. But
you shouldn't be calling a fetus a child
well, no,
because it's not equal. It's not the same.
Hang on. I would give more moral consideration to a 2-year-old than a 5-year-old, but I would still consider both of them children. Right? Like if I was in a burning building, I could only save one. I would save the 2-year-old.
It's so sour. That's such a sour take.
I don't really care. I mean, you can feel that way, but
my dude. Obviously, you don't think that a fetus is the same as a child. You've
Not
made
exactly
that
the
clear to
same.
me.
I don't think
You
an apple is the same as an
grant
orange.
much more
I don't think
moral
an apple is the same as an
consideration.
orange.
You
They're
grant
both fruit.
much more moral consideration towards the baby than you do the fetus. The
Yes.
fact that you are not
And
willing to save 100 fetuses is a perfect example that even if you have 100 fetuses, that it doesn't match. It is not equal to that of a literal living child. In which, by the way, I agree with you. And honestly, do you know why? You can make more. Whereas like the baby, that's like a lot of fucking work. Like you're talking like 9 months. Like all I got to do is just get 100 women pregnant and then pull the fucking fetus out. And then there you go. Now you got more fetuses. Okay. Not a big deal. Right. They spend the next 3 weeks, but that fucking baby, that's like 9 months. That's assuming it's a newborn. Right. And then you didn't feed the shit out of it. Right. It's now like 2 years old or whatever. Like obviously like the child is much more valuable than 100 fetuses. It's not even close. And you
All right, well,
acknowledge
let
that
me
as
go
well.
ahead. Let me go ahead and lay out my value of hierarchies, right? Like in terms of like what I value, right? In terms of this particular situation, the baby is at the top of my priorities list for sure. We both agree on that. The next step in that hierarchy is those 100 fetuses. I place the value of the baby more. Then you know what takes a step lower than that? The convenience of the mother. So if there was some sort of weird situation in which I could save both, but it's going to be very difficult for the mother because she's going to be a bit financially harder off, I would still accept, that, yeah, she's going to be financially harder off and still try to save the, fetuses or whatever.
What about the rest
so in
of
terms
society?
of the hierarchy of value,
Do you place any value on that?
of
Because
course I do.
society gets
But-
worse, right? When someone who doesn't want to have the child has to carry that child to term, society gets worse. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, overall, but like it would be even worse. So it's like taking
What?
the autonomy
As opposed
of
to
the
having
mother
abortion?
is bad.
That's not true. Where'd you get that?
Hang on. Let me answer the question because I've got to dip. I've got to like dip now, basically. But I'll just answer the question and dip. Right? Forcing somebody to have an abortion sucks. It fucking sucks. Right? Taking someone's autonomy, it's not an ideal thing to do. It is my position that terminating the pregnancy, whether you want to call it a fetus or a child or however you want to define it, the ethical value of terminating it would be of a greater cost than the autonomy. I'm weighing both of these things up, in, trying to do the ethical calculus here, as they call it, utilitarianism, and I come to the conclusion that allowing the abortion is going to be of a greater cost. Now, that's not going to be the case in all circumstances, because there'll be some situations in which maybe there's a conversation to be had that if the woman has been raped, the psychological damage of having that kid could lead to suicide. There's a conversation to be had there. But in general, if it's just convenience, if it's just the convenience of the mother, I'm against it.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this.
Last thing, because I gotta go.
Yep. Are you in favor of social safety nets or no?
100%. I'm like fully anti-capitalist.
Okay. By the way, you can
In
be
fact, I think
pro-capitalist and be in
capitalism-
favor of social safety nets. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm aware. I think capitalism is like.
I'm
the
just
main
saying they're not
reason.
antithetical to one. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I know.
I'll
I'm
let you
just-
have the
I'm just
last
explaining.
word, and then that'll be it. Okay. Go ahead.
Nah, it's all good. I've
good?
said my piece. It's all good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it was good talking to you, Christian Anarchist. Thank you for joining the stream. Well, y'all, I'm really, really glad that y'all joined. I thought that was a really good conversation. I'm going to go ahead and get all those videos out. Let's see, 30. Yeah, it was I had a really good time. I hope y'all had fun. I do this every Thursday. I would say go to here. I'll send this. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Seriously, subscribe to 1stAmender's YouTube channel. I'm very small. I'm not big at all. I'm just trying to help it grow, and I think it'll be really, really cool for modern day debate as well. As well as myself. So I think it would be really cool. Anyway, thank you all very much for joining, and I'm just going to get started editing. But thank you. Have a great night, everybody.